tape, bro. Run the 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 tape, run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Right. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Yeah. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Found guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. Yeah. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Right. Kirby Smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We doing a little bit different around here.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape, the tape.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't come to play, we ain't come to play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape.
The tape, the
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
Shut up and grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape.
Shut up and grind.
Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro. Run the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guide Network on a fabulous Monday evening. I gotta be honest, I don't even know how to do this anymore. I feel like I'm completely, I would be like an athlete that comes back after an injury that feels just completely winded and out of shape.
You have too much ball knowledge in your brain.
I think that's what's going to happen to me tonight. I think at some point tonight, I'm either just going to go ADD squirrel or like something bad's going to happen. It's not going to be a great show, but who knows? It might be one of our best ones. But yeah, welcome back in. I am back for my football pilgrimage. We're going to open tonight's show with that, but we got a loaded one for you guys tonight. Stanford has hired an interim head coach. Frank Reich, former head coach of Andrew Luck with the Colts. Colorado versus Syracuse is, just incredible idea of a spring game being nixed by the NCAA. We'll tell you why tonight. Dabo Swinney being an advocate for that. Deion Sanders got a pretty big extension this weekend. We'll tell you why that was needed, or at least valuable or properly valued with that head coaching addition, or rather extension. We got our quarterback rankings, as you can see by tonight's ranking. Thought it appropriate night to wear the 2% Chooch shirt. We got a ton of film notes from you guys. I have noticed, not necessarily watching the film studies, but we'll take my film observations and watch them ad nauseum here during the live show. So we're going to do that for you guys tonight, bring you my thoughts on the college football quarterbacks that are available. And can what the Yankees are doing right now in professional baseball be applied to college football? If you haven't heard that story, excited to bring that one to you tonight. But boys, took 2 more trips this past week, was gone Tuesday to Friday, and just learned a tremendous amount of ball at my most previous 2 stops on our, what we're calling the football pilgrimage. I think you were the one that donned that or coined that while I was on one of my trips. I was watching. He's like, Brooks is on his football pilgrimage. I thought it was a great little title for what we got going on, because that's what it is. It is a search for knowledge, a search for ball knowledge. And boys and girls, we got a bunch of green tabs on this wall, all over this wall, of new information that we've got to relay with you guys today. So lock in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We got some friends to support of our network, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But hold on with me. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff on the forefront. We ready for this ball knowledge?
Let's do it.
Ready to unload this ball knowledge. Let's do it. Let's take it to the board. All right. So undisclosed locations. Can't let you know where I was going, but I can let you know what I learned while I was there. We will start right here with having eyes in front. Now let me move this confidence monitor over here so I can actually see what my fat butt looks like while we're going through all this good stuff. So here we go. Having eyes in front. This is something I always thought we could apply to quarterbacks, or we could demand upon quarterbacks, but I thought, you know, upon my personal viewing of the sport, maybe a little bit too much to ask of quarterbacks. But this is what this means, okay? If we are reading an in-breaking route, all right, we are running a wide receiver into a defender, we've got to have eyes as a quarterback in front of our receiver. We've got to know what is about to happen in front of him. We can't have any type of mistakes. Hey, I didn't see that guy. Hey, I didn't know he was there. No. We got any inward breaking route we can see in front of our wide receiver. Our wide receiver can't. Why? Because he's looking back to us, all right? Now, I always thought this is an add-on to this, having eyes in front. It got us into the discussion of ball placement. Coach, where do I want the ball on some of these routes? And the most common answer was actually in the eyes. And the coach that I was speaking to talked about it as this. Have you ever watched a wide receiver jump? And I always thought that was to get his body in front of it, right? But no, that's actually to get his eyes on plane with where his hands are, or at least to get his hands rather where his eyes are on plane, so he feels more comfortable. When we go to catch footballs, we normally put our face and our eyes onto the line of the football. So when we're throwing routes like slants, when we're throwing routes like digs, when we're throwing routes like comebacks, balls that are firm, we want to make sure we're putting those eye level so we don't have to change the trajectory or change the body alignment of our wide receiver. I thought that was tremendous. Now, a concept that is heavily ran in college football and football in general, mesh concepts. Okay, let's go over here to the board. Now, I got into we haven't released a Mateer study, but when we do, you'll see there is a portion of that film study where I'm confused as to what we're actually teaching. How are we teaching the progression when we're calling concepts like mesh? Okay, mesh concepts are when two wide receivers are rubbing, all right, and crossing or meshing one another, all right, and one of these guys will go under, one of these guys will go over. 9 times out of 10, we want the speed to go under so he can clear faster, okay? So in this situation, we got a slot receiver and a Y running the mesh route. Who do we want to be under? We want the slot receiver with a lot of speed to be under, right? So he can get open fastest. Now,
unless it's Brock Bowers.
Yeah, or unless it's Brock Bowers. Now, the question becomes, how are we reading this progression, right? Are we reading the mesh first? Are we reading what we call the spot route? Are we reading this hot route? How are we reading it? Well, we're reading it 2 different ways. Versus man coverage, we're going to read it low to high, meaning we're going to read this rub route first, this underneath rub route. Reason being, if we're playing man coverage, it's a run after the catch opportunity anyways, okay? We're trying to beat this leverage, get the ball to him as fast as we can, get him to run after the catch versus man coverage. Versus zone coverage, we're going to read mesh top to bottom. We're going to read it high to low, okay? We're going to read this spot back to these other progressions as they clear through zone concepts. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I thought that was neat. Hey, versus zone, we're going to read it low to high versus man, or excuse me, we're going to read it high to low versus man, we're going to read it low to high. So I thought that was really, really cool. So there's mesh concepts and just how we are teaching that. All right, back over here to the board curve. We're going to talk about another ball placement coaching point, us or nobody, right? Us or nobody throws. Hey, we gotta come back to the sideline. We got to speed out back to the sideline. If we miss anywhere, we better miss 9 rows up into the stands. We better catch it. Nobody better catch it. The other team can't catch it. Us or nobody throws. I thought that was a good coaching point as well. Now, FIB is something we talk about on this network a good bit. FIB on this network stands for what, Kirby?
Flood in the boundary.
Flood into the boundary. That's what we call it offensively, because this guy right here, big offensive mind guy. I played offensive line in college. That's where my knowledge of football comes from. That's my base, right? If I'm biased towards anything, knowledge-wise, it's offensive football. FIB defensively, formation into the boundary. All right. Now, this is their way to alert themselves as well that they're about to get flood into the boundary. If an offense puts formationally, if they put themselves into the boundary against us, they're probably trying to stress us into the boundary with any type of flood concepts or some rush concepts, right? Trying to get a lot of bodies onto that short side of the field and get a good numbers advantage. FIB, the offense has the formation into the boundary. I thought that was a neat little coaching point. Obviously, you can tell at one of these stops, I hung out with a bunch of defensive coaches. Ooh. This is another one. Kirby, you played linebacker in high school. I played linebacker a little bit when I first started playing. We were alignment based off gaps. Hey, I want you 4.5 yards or heels at 4, right? Heels at 4, we want you in the A gap. Heels at 4, we want you in between the guard guard and tackle in B gap, right?
Yep.
That's how I was taught. I go to one of these coaches and one of these meetings, and I sit in and we start talking about Mike being in a 10, Will being in a 50. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And then my football brain caught on real quick. If I put somebody in A gap on the line of scrimmage, he's in a 1 tech. So if I back him off the line of scrimmage, he's in a 10 tech. Right? If I put somebody on the inside shoulder of the guard or of the tackle, all right, or if I put him head up on the tackle rather, he's in a 5 tech. If I back him off the line of scrimmage, now he's in a 50. Make sense? I thought that was really, really neat as well.
So does that correspond with being in an over and under front, or is that just kind of...
Yeah, so like or adjustments that week, like, hey, this team might be a little bit more prone to outside zone, so hey, that Mike, we don't want you in a 10, we want you in a 20. Hey, that Will, we don't want you to 50. We want you actually in the 70. We want to extend outside the box.
Gotcha.
Okay? I thought that was really, really neat. I hope you didn't hit that cord, Bubba.
Nope.
I hope you didn't freeze our cameras, big dog. We got Stretch over there knocking stuff off. All right, I thought this was a good coaching point for wide receivers. Now, I was always taught low ball pinkies together. Okay, low ball below our waist, if we can get a shot there. Below our waist, we're going pinkies. Okay, we're going down here on the pinkies on them low balls. All right, high balls, I was always taught we want a diamond, right? We want to get our diamond together, our index fingers and our thumbs. I thought this was a tremendous coaching point from a lifer in the football world. Talked about elbow integrity on deep balls, okay? If I get my elbows together on a basket catch, guess what can't happen? Ball can't go through my elbows. Ball can't go through the wickets, right? Can't go through there if my elbows are together. Same thing on those low balls. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, boy, we're catching on. Same thing on the low balls. Want to get them elbows together. That way there's no vacancies right there, right? Elbow together coaching point. I thought that was really, really good and something that I hadn't heard of. I'd always heard the pinkies and the index fingers making that tough triangle on those north of 90 throws right there. Elbows together. I thought this was brilliant as well. And this comes straight from the Kirby Smart tree and the lineage. So you Georgia fans, listen up. This is how they do it. How can we be as complex as possible while remaining simplistic with regards to the install for our young players, right? A lot of our defensive players, man, maybe they didn't come from a background where they were super schematically advanced on the high school level. A lot of C-ball, tackle ball on the defensive side of the ball. So how do we educate these young football players at a high rate really, really quickly and be as complex as possible? They call it same as teaching. All right, so for this example right here, right, we're going to play, the same coverage or we're going to tweak something in the back end, but for everybody else, it's same as another call. Right? A base call. You see what I'm saying here, Kirby? We're going to tweak this, guys. Here's the new install today. Hey, corner's going to fire. Safety's going to roll over. For all you other guys, it's the same as base call. So I'm saying, today we're going to actually insert H-back counter. All right, so we're going to pull the backside tight end. Hey, for you tackles, we're staying in. For everybody else, same as traditional counter. Okay, they call this the bucket method. We want to put as much information into one solitary bucket as we possibly can. That way the athlete can pick the bucket up and just head off. All I got to worry about is what's in my bucket. All right, we teach it in forms of buckets. How many things can we get into? Hey, guys, same as what we've been playing the whole week. All right, what we've been playing the whole season. I thought that was a brilliant coaching point. Now, what's up?
I was just saying, it's part of the reason why NFL plays are so long on the offensive side, because it's just basically listing out each position what it's going to do.
It almost becomes harder on the college level because instead of getting these really, really long tags, which if I'm a position player, like for example, if I'm an offensive lineman in those pro-style calls, all I really got to listen to is the first half of the sentence.
Right.
All the back-end stuff, the actual passing concepts, I don't give a shit. Give me the formation, give me the snap count, give me the protection. That's all I need as an offensive lineman. Same thing for a wide receiver. Give me the formation, give me any type of motion, give me the concept. That's all I got to worry about. I don't have to listen to that, we're in 59 Z waggle or we're in 59 protection, whatever the protection call is. I'm keying in on my certain specific call. Now, it gets complicated on the college level, Kirby, because we're out here yellow 5 and red 6 and this is a dragon. All right, so what I'm telling you guys is we have a whole entire concept dwindled down to one word. All right, we're going to run dragon today, or we're going to run dagger today. And everybody has to remember, okay, if I'm the Z, I run a slant on dagger. If I'm the X, I'm the dig on dagger. If I'm the slot, I'm the vertical go on dagger.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? So it's a little bit more, it can become a little bit more difficult, but it's almost like picture card. Remember when you guys studied as a young student athlete where they show you a card and you have to remember, hey, what's on the back, like index flashcards?
Oh, yeah.
Very similar thing nowadays with offensive installs because we're playing with such a pace very similar to this segment. We're playing with such a pace where we can't have these elongated calls, so you got to remember, hey, Pictionary, this is what that means, all right? OC's job in pass protections or passing concepts is to get the number one wide receiver in the progression, all right, open. All right, the number one person in the progression, my job as an OC is to make sure that is open, all right? If it's not, after that, your job to make a play. I heard a head coach tell his quarterback there, hey, my OC's job is to get the first progression open. After that, it's on you. How well do you process what's actually happening? How well do you get to 2, get to 3, get to 4? How well do you extend plays, make plays with your own outside of the framework of the system? The OC's job is to get the number one in the progression early. I thought this was a really neat trick, or a really neat coaching point that I only picked up in Indies. This wasn't said during meeting time. This was said at practice and when I figured this out. And this is something that I've always kind of known, but didn't really know. All right. We want to marry our rush with our coverage. All right. We want to marry our rush with our coverage. Meaning, if I'm in man-to-man coverage, all right, guys are turning and running with weapons. Everybody knows sometimes we got a spy and mobile quarterback, but even when we got a statue guy back there, a pro style, which doesn't really exist anymore, everybody's running sub 5-second 40s, which means everybody can take off and kill you for 12 on 3rd and 10 if you're not doing what you're supposed to in terms of rush. So we want to have what was called a vision rush against man-to-man coverage. As defensive linemen, we want to rush at our gap and whatever our assignment is with eyes on the quarterback at the entire time. All right, if he steps up, we shrink the pocket. If he steps out, we pursue the pocket. All right, we want to rush with eyes on the quarterback at all times. Now, we get into zone coverage, where we've got eyes on the quarterback in the back end, we can get aggressive. We can really turn it up and give you two-way goes and do exotics with the pressure and allow you to play with some freedom as a pass rusher because we're not so worried about quarterback break and contain. A vision rush versus what I'm calling an aggressive rush plan. Now, this one right here, the havoc rate. This was something Georgia fans have probably heard Kirby Smart talk about for a while. What is a havoc play? Okay, a havoc play defensively is when I create some type of negative or the potential for a negative on the offense, right? I get a TFL, I get a sack, I get a penalty, I get a negative play of any sorts, I get a tipped pass, I get an interception, right? These are all havoc-based plays. All right. If your havoc rate as a defense over the last 10 years in college football, this is straight from a DC. If your havoc rate is north of 25%, offense be damned, you're guaranteed 8 wins in college football.
Wow.
You're guaranteed 8 wins. If you have a havoc rate defensively north of 25%, guaranteed 8 wins. If you have a havoc rate north of 30%, okay, automatic 9 wins across college football the last 10 years. That is why we have seen such an evolution with regards to games, stunts, twist, different simulated pressures. Defense is really selling out to create havoc plays based off this havoc rate stat.
That's an interesting statistic. I wish we could go more into it. Like, what are the statistics for the last 10 national champions?
Yeah.
Or what happened to teams that went, undefeated in the time? What were their havoc rates?
Yeah.
Or stuff like that. It's a very interesting concept.
Obviously, has to be paired. You would think what's at least a serviceable offense. Got to be a respectable offense. Can't be out here being slappies offensively, no matter how good our defense is.
Yeah.
I'm sure the winning comes with good offense. But here's the deal. If I'm creating a lot of havoc, guess what I'm creating? I'm creating a lot of short fields from my offense. There's no doubt about it. So if I'm creating short fields, creating momentum, a lot of swing plays with havoc plays, right? Creating a lot of momentum offensively, or rather defensively, creates a lot of momentum offensively. Let's go to the other side of the board, Kirby. We got some more stuff that I want to talk about. All right, so I just told you, I'm going to go over here. I am an offensive-minded guy. I come from an offensive background. That is what I played in college. You get to see the other side of the studio right here. I forgot to close the bathroom door. That's awkward. But anyways, I'm an offensive guy and all these other memes that you guys never see. By the way, how about your boy? Outstanding camper at the Mark Richt Camp 2006. How about that? Boy was a baller from day one. How about that? Still found it.
You had that?
Huh?
How long have you had that?
Oh, buddy, I had that one for a minute. I played quarterback that camp.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Dog. Yeah, dog. Coach was like, hey, if you lose like 100 pounds at the age of 12 right now, you might be able to play quarterback.
So that's where it started, huh?
Yeah. We was chooching back in the day. All right, let's get back to it. Anyways, so we talked about the nut stunt and the ton stunt last time we were here. We got some more for you right here. Now, I've been sitting in these defensive meetings and coach will be like, hey, if we get this, we're going to play sky to that. We're going to play cloud to that. We're going to play buzz coverage to that. And I'm sitting over there going, what the hell is man talking about? He throwing out sayings and phrases that I'm not really aware of. So I had to write them on the board right here. Now, sky coverage. Let's start with that right there. Sky is a form of cover 3. All right, we're going to drop the corner into the deep third. The safety is then going to invert to the flat. Linebacker still got hook curl. This may be a TPS dropper or a FPS dropper, force peel slant like we talked about last couple times. All right, or a standard hook curl dropper. Might turn himself inward to get number 2 running across his face, right? Might see that linebacker play like this and then jump out to the wide receiver, make him run through him. You see that a lot nowadays, all right? So that is sky coverage. All right, if we call buzz coverage, we got the linebacker buzzing to the flat, corner still got deep thirds, safety now got hook curl. All right, so we're going to really invert the safety and the linebacker's job as opposed to what we just did in sky coverage. Now, go down here to cloud. This is your basic cover 2. Corner's going to take the flat, linebacker's going to stay in his hook curl, safety's going to take the deep half. All right, so there's that. Now, let's talk about these motions right here. This is something that I learned, at least terminology that we learned on the latest trips, right? One of the offenses that I saw was doing a lot of pre-snap motion, trying to give their quarterback as many man zone indicators as they humanly possibly could. This is a good way to do it. All right, so let's talk about crib motion. Let's get rid of this over here, and let's talk about an empty formation, right? If I hop into empty, I got the X over here, I got the slot right here, I got the Y over here. All right, we're going to put the Z right here on the line, and then we're going to run the running back all the way out. All right, don't nitpick me on who's on the line of scrimmage. I know I got too many. So we're in empty. We call crib motion. All right, we're going to start in empty. We're going to call trips left crib. All right, meaning the running back's going to run all the way out to the right because we're in trips left and we called crib, right? So when we call crib motion, we're going to return where? Back to the crib, back to where we're always at our base alignment as a running back. So in the huddle, I would call this trips left crib because that would tell the running back, hey, we're going to line up somewhere outside of the formation. We're going to return to our crib. And after that, everyone else is going to be in trips left. We see that? Mm-hmm. This is a good opportunity to give that guy a man zone indicator. Hey, if a linebacker runs out here and runs back into the box with him, they're in man-to-man coverage. All right, if everybody bumps out and this is a cornerback over here playing with off leverage or walked up, probably in some type of zone coverage, right? They're not going to put a corner on a running back. They're going to put the linebacker on the running back and allow the corner most likely to go cover that Z. We all understand that?
Yeah.
All right, so that is crib motion. Now, if I call settle motion, Kirby, if I say, hey, I want to line up in twins right duo, right? I want to line up in twins right duo. Tight end always goes to the call, by the way. We're going to line up twins right duo. We'll probably pair the X with the Y. We'll put the slot back over here and the Z. All right. Actually, we did that wrong. Z always goes with the Y, and X is always by himself. Excuse me. All right, so there's the X, and there's the Z. All right, and we call settle motion. We're going to put the running back either to the trips call, all right, or to the duo call right here. We're going to motion him out, all right, and put him right behind the wide receiver. Now, this is something that I saw the 49ers doing a ton with Christian McCaffrey. It's just a way to create a natural trips bunch or a bunch formation, basically, against the defense. The defense sees this, and they see 3 wide receivers stacked up behind each other. Now they got to play either some type of triangle coverage, right? I got inside guy, you got outside guy, safeties got over the top, or they got to figure out, hey, if we want to play man against this, how are we going to transfer this, all right, against all this, bump coverage. And if the linebacker kind of bumps his alignment with that running back, we know we've got some type of man coverage. If everybody slides, we know we got some type of zone coverage.
Yeah, I feel like Georgia did a version of this with Cass Jones a lot. They would motion him out and have him run back in, but obviously didn't settle.
I like the settle motion because, especially if we got a good back, it's a great way to run Texas out of it. You know, those little angle routes, man, we can really, really get loose right here. Not have to worry about clearing the tackle. If the defensive end speed rushes, we can't really run that angle route, right? Out here, we got plenty of ample room to avoid all that garbage. I really, really like this concept from a settle motion standpoint. All right, what was our other one? Imposter. This is easy. We don't have to draw this, okay? If I have a wide receiver lined up at running back, all right, he is an imposter. All right, he is a wide receiver pretending to be a running back. As a defense, we're going to tap our helmet and everybody's going to scream imposter. The linebacker's going to pick it up first because they're always keying guards' feet through the running back, right? We're always going to be able to see, hey, that's not who's normally lined up back there. We're going to let our safety know, hey, we've got somebody in that backfield that I don't need to be covering. All right, if we get matched up in man-to-man coverage, we're going to call imposter. I'm going to go find wherever the actual running back is, and I'm going to attach to him. We all got that?
Yep.
All right, so those are football concepts right there. We also forgot dart and toe up here, Kirby. So let's get back up here. I love this, and this is something we saw Tennessee doing a ton this year. All right, taking that backside tackle, inserting him onto the front side. Now, back in my day, we would call this power. All right, but when we ran power back in my day, it was with the backside guard. We take the backside guard, we're up here. We take the backside guard, and we would insert him onto the front side. This time, we're going to do it with the backside tackle. I knew how it was being played, how it was being designed, all that stuff. The question I had on this pilgrimage, what in the hell are you guys calling that? Because it's not power, and it's not, we can't just call it one gap or one person counter, because it kind of looks like counter too. So what are y'all calling it? I got one offense calling it toe, which I like a lot because it has the T in it, lets the tackle know he's pulling. Had another system calling it dart. Defensive coordinator calling it dart, labeling it dart. Offensive coach labeling it toe. Okay, now, if it were me, if we ran quarterback like read option off of that, pulled the backside tackle, that would be dart. If we ran it with the running back, that would be toe, because I love me some Jackson Dart. See what I'm saying? Hey, quarterback, that's dart. Running back, that's toe. All right, I like that a lot. Tennessee's using that a lot. Saw Oklahoma use that a little bit in that game against Alabama. Obviously, Alabama has been using that a little bit with their quarterback run game, all that good stuff. So there we go. We got the actual football pilgrimage notes right there. Now, to the actual board. This is the life lessons for you folks. This is the stuff that I like. This is the cheesy shit that I live my life by. So if this is some cornball stuff for you, I apologize. Just bear with me, bite the towel. All right, here we go. I like this one. Just keep teaching. This is a conversation I overheard between two football coaches, okay? One of them was complaining to the other one, hey man, yada, 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 NIL, can't really coach these kids. So-and-so's busting this over and over and over again. Other coach, veteran coach, NFL coach on the phone says, hey, no matter how mad you get, just keep teaching. No matter what is wrong, just keep teaching. Just keep teaching. As a football coach, I really, really like that. I also like this as a football coach or as an upper management guy. If you're somebody who has underlings underneath you, understand this one right here. They don't care how much you know. They know how much you care. Okay? I like that one a lot, especially with how young people are these days. Kind of hard to be tough on folks nowadays. All right, the old school methods of management don't really work anymore. Most of the time, young people nowadays, they certainly know how much you care about them. They don't really care how much you know. All right, most of them aren't going to be around long enough to absorb all of it anyways. Okay, so but they will definitely be noticing how much you actually care. I sent this one into the Discord, a little bit cheesy, a little bit of a go-to, right? But the only person you need to be is the person you were yesterday. That's obvious. I like that one a lot. What else we got over here? We got one
more down the end of it.
Yeah, we got some more down over here. You are what you see on tape. That one's an obvious one. That was a football one, right? Eye in the sky, don't lie. Everybody said that over the years. This is a universal, no matter what you do in life, no matter if you're a management guy, no matter if you're somebody trying to climb your industry, whatever it is, understand this one right here. If the bend in the road is the end of the road if you don't make the turn. All right, I see this a lot, especially in our industry. All right, our industry right now is steaming and storm rolling right towards video-based content. I tell people all the time right now, if you're under the age of 40 years old and you are not in front of a camera trying to give it a run as an internet media personality, giving your coverage through video, whoo, buddy, you might as well be a dinosaur. All right, because the road is turning right now. All right, if you're not slowing brakes down, getting ready to make that turn, you're going to be in deep shit. All right, so that is life right there. If you're not ready to make the turn, it's the end of the road for you if you don't go on and make that turn. I think I was a little bit quicker this week on the football pilgrimage. I hope that
there was less visuals, I think, to get this time.
Yeah.
Still almost went 30 minutes.
Very, very resourceful though. I liked it. It's always fun to hear how colleges are actually doing it live and in person, because you can only assume and go off of what you know. And that's usually like 5 years old by the time you get there.
So 4 stops now. Hope to be making some more. But I think the thing that I've noticed most is that all of these head coaches are very, very different. And when you become a head coach, you kind of get to decide what kind of head coach you want to be. Every program was very, very different. When one program was defensive coordinator by birth, I'm going to become the head coach and still handle the defense. And during practice, I'm going to be very, very quiet. I'm going to be handling my defense. I'm going to be calling plays, but also paying attention to everything. And you'll notice that I paid attention to everything post-practice when I tell you how bad the offense was. You know what I'm saying? I had one coach that was basically a CEO. All he did was blow the whistle. The whole entire practice, all he did was blow the whistle. and correct people. Hey, if we're in third period and you tackle, I'm going to go over there and chew your ass out. If you're a running back and you got bad ball security, I'm watching it. I'm going to go chew your ass out. During water breaks, I'm going to go over and talk to the boosters. You know, during indies, I'm going to talk to the boosters. I'm not walking around during indies. I'm talking to boosters during indies. I'm a CEO today. You know what I'm saying? You go to another program and it's all high vibes. We're gonna be talking during meetings. We're gonna let our players talk during meetings. We're gonna lead every meetings with music. We're gonna have guess that insert mascot of the day during the meetings, where we put a player of ours high school highlight tape up on the board, and we're gonna have the whole entire meeting room guess who he is. Like that type of stuff. Every room, every building, very, very different. One roster out of all of them, very clear to me that the team actually loves one another. The players love one another, right? And I'm very curious to see if that team actually wins this year, because it stuck out like a sore thumb. Everywhere else I was going, it was a lot of, this is a business. Very much so a business. I'm here to make money. I'm here to do my job. I'm here to leave. One of these programs, very clearly to me, still a team. And I think that's the key, man. I think the further and further we get closer to a professional model, which one of these programs or which of these programs can actually create a sense of team around themselves? It is we, not me, all right, despite the fact that it's still a sense of a business. Like, we have to have, this is a business around us, but most of it's got to be, this is still a team-oriented sport, because it is a team-oriented sport.
Very much so. And I think that's an interesting dynamic. That's only one of those. And I wonder if, obviously, you weren't around, college football 10, 15 years ago before this pre-NIL stuff, but I wonder how much that has changed as an aspect, because you hear a lot of things about NFL organizations where, yeah, sometimes there's a close-knit group of guys, but the majority of it is very business-like. I wonder if this is a product of NIL.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Because especially, like, some of these are smaller programs that not small programs, but like mid-major programs, some of them that I've gone to.
You're not going to the Alabamas and Georgias of the world yet.
Yeah, no offense. They're not opening the doors.
Right.
I've asked. Got told no pretty quickly. But some of them, some of their competitors are willing to do this and have. But anyways, I forgot where I was going. No, what I was saying is some of these mid-major schools, you can feel that guys are just there to get going. You know what I mean? And coaches are even taking that approach of, come here for 2 years, you can go make millions after you spend 2 years here. We're your developmental. We're your JUCO now, kind of type of vibe. And others are like, nah, dog. I want to hold on to my football players as long as I can. So it's very interesting to see the differences. One of the talking points that I wanted to make sure, this is beyond football, like, concepts, this is actual football news that you should be listening to right here. Obviously, the world of Division I football is going to a hard capped 105. You have 105 football players on your team, and that's it. I had a conversation yesterday with a source about this. How is this going to work? When are they going to instill this? When do you have to be reporting these 105s? Here's how it's supposed to work, so I'm told. And this is what coaches have been told. Within a week of your first football game, you have to report to the NCAA your hard 105. All right. And that 105 has to stay the same throughout the year. So my first question was, I mean, coach, it's not unlikely for you to have 10 injuries in fall camp. So we have injuries or during the season we have injuries. Let's say we have 10 guys go out. I'm now playing a college football playoff with 95 guys because 10 of them are out for the season. I can't go replace them. There's no practice squad. There's no 30 reserve players hanging out over here. All right, so that's one thing I thought was very, very interesting. And I would imagine eventually that gets changed to have a practice squad model. So we can have some type of influx between these guys got hurt, we got to replace the bodies or else we're not going to be able to practice. That's the way the NFL works. That's a 53 with, I think, a 13-man practice squad roster.
Yeah.
Or a 15-man practice squad roster. I would imagine we get within the next 2 or 3 years what is deemed practice squad roster for this up and down of injuries, so we're not playing end-of-year games with 85 guys on a roster.
Before we got to this hard-capped era of college football, what was the normal operating numbers of like a program that had, like, how many players would you typically have on a field for a practice?
Yeah, so is this pre-NIL or post? Because post-NIL's messed it up.
Let's do both.
All right, so pre-NIL, you had 85 scholarship guys, and I say 40 walk-ons. You had about 125 to 130 guys on the field at all times. Those 40 walk-ons were glorified hitting dummies.
Yeah.
All right. The 85 was tight 85. Now, NIL came around. We started having NIL scholarships. If you guys remember a segment we had last year, I went through every SEC roster, and I deemed if you were a 4-star or higher, at coming out of high school, I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell you're paying tuition at the school you're still at, right? I think that's a safe assumption.
Yep.
Auburn was at 107, LSU was at 103, Georgia was at 98. Like, they're all over the 85. They all were during the NIL, because what they were doing was NIL scholarships. You're not on the 85 this year, but don't worry about it. We're going to pay your tuition. And they got rid of that walk-on rule, so you can eat whenever you want to eat, right? As long as you pay for it. So all that stuff was some booster that took care of his tuition, right? Dan Jackson even said as much. I'm not on scholarship, but I'm not paying tuition. Do y'all remember that?
Yep.
During media availability this year. So that stuff was happening rampant. Nowadays, hard tight 105. That's what's coming in August. That's the other different or weird thing about this. Every school that I was going to was approaching the 105 cut down very differently. Some programs didn't even talk about it with their players, right? They only talked about it as a staff. We're at 130. We got to get down to 105. Where are we trimming the fat, right? They're having these meetings in their war rooms, but they're not really having the conversation with their players because they don't want people to panic. All right, I'm already fourth. Let me hit the portal. I done quit, shut down, whatever. All right, and then you go to some programs and it's like, last thing I say to you at the end of the day, we cutting. We got to get down to 105. Look around. It's 130 of you. 15 of you, 25 of you ain't going to be here in August. So get your shit together, right? Very different mentalities on how we're going to talk about this 105 at every school I was at. So very interesting. Should we talk cadences? We've already been 33 minutes into this. Should we talk cadences?
You seemed like you were really excited to talk about this, so I kind of want to hear it.
I mean, I like cadence talk.
It'd be a shame not to do it.
All right. Let's do cadence talk. We'll do it from the desk. Okay, so I've decided how I would do cadence. In high school, I'd be down, set, hut. In college, I would go full set, go, color number, set, hut. So here's how this would work. All right, we're on Monday, which means 1, Tuesday, which means 2. If I'm silent count, what do you think it is?
Either Saturday or Sunday.
Sunday, right? Sunday. If I call Sunday, we're on the tap. All right, so just know that. But Monday would sound like this. If we're on 1, I would break the huddle. I would let everybody know, hey, set, go. Like, hey, get set. We're about to go. And then it would be blue 80, set, hut. All right, that's on 1. If we go on 2, which is Tuesday, same thing. Hey, get ready, set, go. Blue 80, set, hut. That's on 2, right? All right. Now, if we call Omaha, this is Peyton Manning's bag right here, right? Everything I say before the Omaha, nonsense. I'm collecting information. You stay still in your stance. We're on the Omaha. Once I say Omaha, we're on 1. Everybody get me?
Yep.
So I walk to the line of scrimmage. Hey, Mike 90. Blue 80, set, hut. Back off, right? Walk back to the line of scrimmage. We got some more time to play with. We're only down to 18, 19 seconds on the play clock. Give another fake one. Collect some more information. Maybe send a motion. Now we're on Omaha, set, hut. Now we're on 1. Okay? Boom. There you go. Cadence.
What made you come to this conclusion? Just watching teams do it? Or?
Yeah. So college cadences are different. Like some guys are like the very, very simple in their play or in their cadence. They don't do elongated cadences because they're playing with pace. They might just be most guys are clap offenses nowadays,
Yeah,
right?
they are.
They're going to get a line of scrimmage. They're just going to clap. Left guard's going to tap the center, or the center's looking between his legs or whatever, and he's going to go. That's a lot of college cadences, but and colleges all have the clap cadence, so all of them. But some of them, like this NFL cadence, they call that the Gruden cadence at one stop. Hey, we're on the Gruden, so we're going to go full color number, set, hut, right? Sometimes we're just on the clap. It is what it is. If I was a heavy motion team, we'd be on the clap.
Well, it's also a time or sound thing.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna be able to hit a Gruden cadence when it's 130 decibels in an SEC stadium. So
Yeah.
which will kind of render your cadence obsolete anyway.
Man, a lot of new information on this channel today. As always, we are innovating on this channel. Speaking of innovation, boys, I can't lie. I love the return of the above the knee length fashion in the world of fashion, right? The shorts above the knee length. You know what? When it first came out, I was a little opposed to it. I was like, shorter shorts? I don't know how I feel about that. I've been below the knee guy my whole life. And then as soon as I put one on, some 7-inch inseams, I was like, you know what? Might have to go to 5. Skies out, thighs out.
Five's pushing it.
Yeah, so 5 is pushing it. But nonetheless, nothing more aesthetically frustrating in my mind than them old school khakis that go down past your knees. With our friends at Bird Dogs, you can ditch the old school khakis and get into the new modern Look, hey, for a
Oh, he's
limited
wearing
time-
them.
Hey, bro, we got them on right now. A little model for you boys right here, okay? Hey, it's golf season right now, okay? Get out there. Don't even have to worry about the swamp booty in these things, all right? Don't even got to worry about it. Don't even got to worry about it when it gets nice and hot, all right? But our friends over at Bird Dogs with the promo code FGN today, guess what, boys and girls? You get a free hat. You get a free hat over there with our friends at Bird Dogs if you use the code FGN. Again, that's short for Film Guy Network, FGN at birddogs.com. Go over there today again and get that free hat with any purchase if you use that code FGN at Bird Dogs. That's BIRDDOGS.com. They even got some they even got some really fly quarter zips. We got some really fly quarter zips over there at Bird Dogs. How about that? Just breaking my own rule.
It happens, man.
Man told the whole world that I smelled like B.O. last week, and I was okay with it. I thought it was funny. I thought it was a good little ad lib and what do you call it? Impromptu ad read. And then he cussed in the ad read. I'm like, let's not cuss in the ad read. And then I cussed her in the ad read.
Yeah, man. When it's part of your natural vernacular,
Yeah, don't,
you
hey,
can help it.
Potty mouths.
chill out. Don't do as I say. Do as I do. No.
Well, yeah, and then
Yeah, don't do as I do as I say. Free hat, Bird Dogs, FGN. All right, it's a good hat too. Feels good. I hate those. Again, I'm a big-headed dude, so the trucker hats with the adjustable snapbacks on them. I'm like a 2-button left snapback. I just look like I got a 5 head because the hat's not big enough. Not over there, Bird Dogs. They got us hooked up over there. All right, so head over there, birddogs.com. Use FGN, get that free hat. Support those who support us. Let's talk rankings, boys. I've done enough talking. Let's talk rankings.
I'd love to talk the rankings.
We gonna have so much meat on this bone. I didn't realize that was gonna take that long.
That's perfect.
Yeah, my bad. You like a lot of meat? Like a lot of meat on the bone, AJ will. Let's talk
Not
quarterback
what I was
rankings. Now, while I was gone, I think you guys talked about the ESPN quarterback rankings list
Yes.
that came out.
Yep.
The top 15, had your own thoughts and opinions. I brought my own top 11.
Ooh, top
How about that?
Why'd you cut off at 11?
Because the 11th is a wild card. It's really a hard, tight 10, but if you leave 11 off, by the end of the year, you could either look like a genius or you could look like a Neanderthal. So we left him at 11 as a JIC, as a just in case. And I was in the Elite 11 mode, having just came from Elite 11 yesterday,
Valid.
which we're going to talk about in the local hour. But let's do it. Number 1 on the quarterback races, all college football. Number 1 on the quarterback rankings. Any guesses who it is?
Was it Cade Club?
Garrett Nussmeier.
No, neither. K Club, good guess.
No,
Nuss,
I'm going
good
Lagway.
guess.
I'm going Lagway.
It's not Lagway.
I know you're high on-
Lagway dropped. Lagway dropped in my rankings.
Ooh.
Lagway went down.
I don't know. Because I know you're not going to put Arch there.
Yeah, Jeff Brom's guy is definitely not going to be on here either. But anyways, Lagway dropped. Number 1 on the board, Lenore Sellers.
Oh, he's sipping the tea.
I'm sipping the tea. Obviously, the traits are insane. 6'3", 245 pounds. What?
I said back on the Beamer.
He's
Back on the Beamer wagon. Maybe that was one of my stops. Maybe. Anyways, big time in on this one because of a lot of it has to do with the traits. 6'3", 245 pounds. But here's the deal. I think he might be the quickest ball carrier in the SEC. When he pulls it down, he immediately is pulling away from defenders. He's making defenders miss. He's got elite short area quickness. And here's what I love about him, and you can really see it on the tape, that I can pull off and go whenever I want to. That applies to his throwing mechanics as well. This kid, as soon as he sees it, foot in the ground, ball out. All right, he plays the quarterback with a quarterback position with a word that I call suddency. All right, he plays immediate right now. I see something, I take it right now. No second guessing in this football player at all. I obviously have my questions about what's around him. I think this is an opinion you voiced today when I gave you these notes. But the playmaking, in my opinion, is undeniable. So no matter how bad the parts are around me, I'm a great playmaker in and of myself, okay? So there's an explosive waiting for me if I have the ability to get to it, and I certainly do.
I would love to know what the metric was on Lenore Sellers last year for how many turnover-worthy plays negated your explosives. Because that's always been my knock on him, is that it felt like this year he tried to be Superman too much and he got caught for it, which was kind of why I backed off of him coming into this season, because all the pillars and parts around you that made him really, really good are now there, and he's going to have to do that much more as a Superman technique.
And look, it's part of my notes. I think if you didn't watch him week 1 and then turn it on week 14,
Yeah, he
I don't think
improved
you
for
saw
sure.
the progression.
No, he definitely progressed.
And you can just look at the game logs and see it. The guy had much, much better performances towards the end of the year. And that's the thing I constantly hear out of South Carolina. This kid is a sponge. I tell him once, he fixes it, done. No more readdressing it. We just go on to the next thing to evolutionize his game. How can I improve you next? Because you've already gotten that after me telling it to you once. I think that trait alone is paramount for a quarterback. Make one mistake, make sure we clean it up, never make it again. This is that type of football player. I also love the idea that he, more so in my opinion than anybody on this list today, can win football games in a variety of ways. If you come out and you say, hey, we're going to dedicate ourselves to the pass today, Lenorris is not going to be explosive, he'll beat you with his legs. If you come out today and you stack the box and say, hey, we are not going to let Lenorris Sellers beat us with his legs today, he can turn around and beat you with the arm, right? If you say we're going to keep him inside the pocket today, he can beat you from inside the pocket nowadays. If you say, hey, we're going to flush him, good luck. You know what I mean? He's outside running around like crazy. I think his ability to win the game in a variety of ways was impressive, right? He won the Clemson game with his legs, right? I think he kept them in that game against Alabama with his arm. The what we call a pump Oscar on 4th down was insane. They run a fake out against zone coverage, run up down the sideline. He hits it in a bucket catch against quarters coverage for a touchdown. Did the same thing against Kentucky week 2. All right, so some of the plays that he makes, by the way, almost won that damn Alabama game in the complete inverse, right?
Yep.
Making a play, scrambled, didn't quite get the reception down on the extension of the play, but it would have been a touchdown. I think he's a tremendous football player. Here's the deal. Don't know what's around him. Don't necessarily trust what's around him this year. They will take a step back in play calling, in my opinion, from a pass game standpoint. Going from Loggins to Mike Shula, I think is a tick down from a college play caller standpoint, all right, from a passing game standpoint. I do, however, think their designed quarterback run game, took a level up because this is a guy who's worked with Cam Newton in the past. He's going to have a much deeper bag in terms of run game concepts with the quarterback. Number 2, Cade Klubnik.
There it is.
A slippery and competitive baller. That's what my notes say.
I can buy that. I think it's also just you buy the experience at this point.
Yep, that was the last note. You buy the experience. This is year 3 for him. Should have a tremendous amount of progression. I also love the way that he thrives off ball placement and timing. You will find a consistent note in all of these moving forward. Guy plays on time. Guy plays like a pro. That's what Cade Klubnik does, in my opinion. Not an elite arm talent, but he's good enough. And Lord knows, like you said, he's played enough football. I also sneaky like the weapons at Clemson this year, and I never thought I'd say this. They got Antonio Williams back for the 19th year, it feels like. The Brian Wesco kid was a freshman last year. I think he got hurt, but he looked great in the spring game last year. I expect a lot out of him. And then TJ Moore is a really, really good wide receiver for them as well. The depth's a concern. Any of those guys get hurt, you're in trouble, especially if Antonio Williams gets hurt. Also, no running back.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They're going to be starting a true freshman at running back. That's a big concern. But, hey, Klubnik's legs, you would imagine last year in college, we got to go. I think they're in win now mode at Clemson every year. This feels really, really like a win now mode, especially because the quarterback future at Klubnik, or after Klubnik, is what? Vizina?
Nothing, I guess.
Doesn't look promising. So they kind of got to squeeze everything they can out of this last year at Klubnik. Now, number 3. This is a guy who, it makes sense. I'm buying it. I'm going to buy the hype. And I know everybody's like, we haven't seen enough yet. Why is everybody assuming that this guy's going to be one of those guys? It's Arch Manning for me at number 3. Let's just start with the basics, okay? If I just called you on the phone one day and I said, Coach, this is the type of quarterback I got. Here are the bullet points. Let me sell you on him, elevator pitch style. Number 1, he's 6'3", 220. Number 2, he's a premium athlete. Like, he can really, really run, never in a bad position, just a great mover and a great athlete overall. Number 3, extremely clean mechanically. Perhaps the cleanest mechanics you'll ever study of a quarterback. Number 4, he's got elite arm talent. He can make every throw and more from every different angle you want him to. He's not this, I throw in a phone booth like my uncle's type of Manning. This is a guy, all right, from an arm talent standpoint. Oh, and by the way, because his mechanics are so consistent and so clean, he's deadly accurate. Deadly accurate. If I just told you those things, you're signing up for that guy, no matter what.
Yeah, you'd have me at he doesn't throw like his uncles.
Yeah, you'd have me at he doesn't throw like his uncles, and he's a better athlete than his uncles. And at the end of that, I tell you his last name is Manning. But if I gave you those first 5 bullet points, you're signing up for the guy anyways. Here's what amazed me while watching him today. Okay, here's what amazed me. It's how well he sees the field already. I mean, obviously, he's had high levels of football conversation from birth, right? He's a Manning. We get that. He knows football. He should understand football. But there's a difference between I can talk football and I can go out and apply what I just talked about. This guy can do it. Now, if I was actually showing you the film, what you will notice about him is his back. He's a back hip thrower. All right, meaning that back hip is going to be loaded when he's ready to fire at all times. So when you watch him through his progressions, you can see that back foot hit and him ready to strike, right? Meaning my feet are tied to my eyes the entire time. I'm working from 1 back over to 2. And in that Texas system, 1's over here outside the hash, 2's over here just inside the numbers, right? That's how far the progression is. And then number 3 is the swing. Y'all studied Texas a lot. They don't have a lot of he's 1, he's 2, he's 3, 4, check down. It's not like that. It's he's number 1 now. That's how their system works out at Texas, mostly off of play action, running out of pistol and all that good stuff. So I was really, really impressed with how much obvious football intellect was displayed in those few starts last year. And doesn't make the same mistake twice. I told you this today. One of the notes I wrote down today was on play 14 against Mississippi State. It says very verbatim, as he gets older, I think he hits the check down here. Very next snap. It literally says, or he figures it out the next snap. I mean, it's day one stuff for this guy. He picks it up and translates it the next play. I think he's going to be great. Now, this is why he slid behind, or why Lagway slid behind Manning for me. Lagway is, if I could build a quarterback fundamentally and from a these are the traits that I'm going to give him. These are the throws that he's going to be able to make. I don't know if I could create a better one. Like, he's 6'3", he's 230 pounds. He can make every throw, and he's willing to make every throw. I love that about him. The only thing is, I don't know for a fact that Lagway sees it like he's supposed to right now. And I don't expect a freshman last year to have been able to do that. All right. Because like with Manning, it's year 2 for him. You remember that? That's a redshirt freshman doing that this year for Manning. It's been 2 years of college football. This was year 1 for Lagway last year. So there should be some progression there. But I do think if we could take 6 or 7 plays per game and really clean them up, we're no longer a 59% completion percentage guy. We're a 68% completion percentage guy. And the world thinks about you completely different.
I wonder how different your ranking would be had he just been the starter flat out throughout the year. Because I know they started the year with Graham Mertz, and it wasn't until he went down against Tennessee.
We would have had all the growing pains. Exactly. I would imagine, right? I would imagine we'd have saw improvement. But that dude's ability to reach portions of the field with accurate footballs, phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean, the ceiling on him is higher than anybody else, in my opinion, that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, him being the quarterback automatically ups your explosiveness offensively because he's one of the best deep ball throwers in college football. So that automatically makes their offense even more explosive than what they were last year because he didn't play the whole season.
I wasn't even like remotely close to you now.
Number 5, the Nuss Bus.
There it is.
Talk to him now. Now, those of you who recall all of Brooks's takes, I hope you don't. But if you do, if you're a guy who's like, wait a minute, this guy did SEC QB rankings a little while back and Nuss wasn't even nowhere to be found. And if you remember, during those rankings, I basically said this. I left him out of my SEC rankings as a simple quote, I got to watch more of him because the TV copy confused me. And you sat there during that Garrett Nussmeier film study when we watched all 22, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think you felt the same way. Your impressions of him having watched all 22 versus your impressions of him watching TV copies, 2 totally different stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. I felt more, it was confirmed more about Garrett Nussmeier returning, knowing that anything that I had question marks about, I feel like because of the quarterback that he is, those will be fixes and you won't see as many like stir-ups next year.
I think you will agree with this take right here. You watch the TV copy of Nuss and you're going to think he's a game manager that makes dumb decisions every 12th play. Would you agree?
Yes.
If you watch the TV copy of this guy, that's what you think. Right now, listening at home, if you only watch TV copy, that's probably what you think of Garrett Nussmeier. 6'1", 210 pounds, doesn't have the world's biggest arm, makes goofy decisions. What the hell's going on there? That was my impression of him as well. That's why I left him as kind of like a incomplete grade. We watched the film study, and here's what I came away with. I think 90% of the time, Garrett Nussmeier is playing the position like a pro. He's playing on time. He knows protections. He understands the defensive concepts. He understands their voids. He throws with anticipation. He throws with great timing. All that good stuff. 8% of the time, he thinks he's Josh Allen, and he ain't Josh Allen, right? He's doing far too competitive natured things, trying to extend outside of the pocket, trying to roll left, trying to do stuff that he physically cannot do. He makes bad mistakes doing it, right? It's about 8% of the time. 2% of the time last year, just making, you're obviously a first-year starter mistakes, right? You're doing things, you're not seeing defenders that you should see because it's your first year starting. And for me, guys, that was my biggest failure of the Garrett Nussmeier evaluation the first time around. I just forgot completely, which I shouldn't have, because he's been in college forever, that he'd multi-year starter guy. No, those were his first 13 starts last year. So you should expect some of those growing pains to get cleaned out this year.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people watched what he did in the second half of that 2022 SEC championship and then what he did in the Wisconsin bowl game and really thought, he's a complete ordeal. It's a full package going into 2023 or 2024, excuse me, and it just wasn't that.
And I think it was that some of the turnovers that we found out on the All-22 were maybe things that obviously it ends in a result that you don't want, but maybe something that we don't want to coach out of him, like we talked about during the film study of I kind of want him taking the shot there because the play before that, it dang near was a touchdown.
We talked about it during the film study of being 1 for 2, right? Eliminating every other one of these mistakes. And I've boiled it down to this. If we roll left, eat that shit. If you're rolling left, Garrett, dirt it, chunk it, out of bounds, take the sack, do whatever. Do not turn the football over rolling left. Okay, if we're rolling right, be a competitor. Do what you feel need to do. Also, their defense last year, I felt gave or provided a sense of I've got to score every time I touch it vibe for him.
Yeah.
Because there was no, hey, today we're going to show up and beat LSU on the defensive side of the football. Today we're going to show up and give 42 points to Jalen Milroe and the Alabama Crimson Tide at home.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So it's very up and down. Number 6, from the ear Mateer. John Mateer comes in at number 6. I guarantee you right now, bet on it right now if you can. John Mateer will lead all quarterbacks in the SEC in terms of rushing attempts. By far.
I don't doubt that at all.
By far. Like, it'll be him, 80 carries behind him, Will Norris Sellers.
Is that sacks included?
Yeah, it's because of college stat. It'll be sacks included. But this guy will have more design carries for him than any other quarterback in the conference. And from a college football standpoint, you have to evaluate that, right? He's going to add counts or he's going to balance counts, and he's going to make them a little bit more dynamic offensively. And I think, like I said, he's going to run more. They do, I think, nearly double-digit design quarterback runs every single game for John Mateer.
Wow.
I think it's going to be like that. I can even see in his physical body. We talked about this when we did the film study. He's gotten thicker. You can see in the spring propaganda film that they're putting out from Oklahoma that this guy's playing. He's rolling around Norman right now, 232 pounds. I can guarantee it. All right, just seeing him on video. Played last year at about 225. So he's gearing up for SEC load, if you will. Now, I talked about him being a playmaker in the passing game. And who was the basketball comp that I gave him?
You said Jason Kidd at first.
There you go. I was just testing your recall there, Jonathan. All right, I said Jason Kidd in the sense that if you're playing on the field with Mateer, you have to assume no matter what, this ball could come to me. If he's extending left, if he's extending right, I may feel like I'm out of his reach. No, you're not. I may feel like there's no way he throws this ball. Yes, he might. Okay, so we have to be ready for that. However, I've changed this comp. He's no longer Jason Kidd for me. He's a different Jason. He white chocolate. All right, so Jason Kidd, and here's the difference. Jason Kidd, he'd throw it behind his back, but he'd do that shit textbook. As textbook as it could be. All right? My boy white chocolate go behind the ear, hit it with his elbow, go back the other way. You know what I mean? My boy white chocolate ain't going to no-look you. He going to look over here at the other guy and then no-look you. Just a little bit extra flavor to him. Same thing with Mateer. Just way too... I am not consistent in my mechanics. That's what freaks me out. A lot of people that have watched Mateer have him in that like top 5 range, that top 3 range. I'm not touching that because I think we're just way too inconsistent in our mechanics. I got him in number 6. By the way, Oklahoma fans, plug your ears. I think Washington State had better weapons.
Whoa.
Yeah, I really do. Watching Washington State, watching Oklahoma last year. And by the way, they added a kid from Arkansas Pine Bluff and lost Nick Anderson. Did they get better at wide receiver?
Does not sound like it.
Well, we do have to remember that.
Deion Burke's back.
There was a time also that entire room was hurt. It's like, hey, we're walking out walk-ons and ex-corners right now.
You're right.
They definitely didn't have great weapons. I don't know if it was Oklahoma's fault necessarily. 0
fundamental consistencies. Got to clean that up. Got to be willing to be disciplined with our lower half, does my man from the ear Mateer. Number 7, Nico.
I was wondering when he was going to fall.
3 years in, still not attempting the last name. Iamaleava.
There you go.
Good.
There you go.
You got it.
Nailed it. Nico Iamaleava. First and foremost, you have no idea how big and how good of an athlete this guy is until you watch him in person. I would tell you that right now. I was on the sideline this year for the Georgia-Tennessee game. I'm not going to say he was the best athlete on the field, But man, he ran away from Smile Mondon like he was. He ran away from CJ Allen like he was. He ran away from a lot of people like he was the best athlete, at least in the box. Now, Malachi Starks might have gotten him down. Dan Jackson might have gotten him down. But this dude is 6'6". He's 215 pounds. And he is a full-fledged deer in open field. All right, he can really, really run. And he's got far more athleticism and twitch and natural instincts as a ball carrier than I ever thought he had. All right, he also has a far better competitive instinct about him than I ever thought he had. All right, I'm not going to say I think this of him. I think this of West Coast football players. I think West Coast football players come over here and find out just how much football means to people that live out here. And every West Coast kid that comes over here says some type of version of that. Damn, football means a lot out here. You can feel it in the way that they hit you. You can feel it in the way that they pursue you. You can feel it in the way that the football players look on the other side of the ball. It's a different level of competitive nature. Watching him get it's been talked about ad nauseum. Watch him get his helmet cracked open and then come back out the next snap and be like, hey, we're good. We're good. I just almost died, but we're good. I'm going to keep playing. All right. I love that about him. Now, here's the problem. Okay. They didn't do a very good job of creating clean pockets for him last year, and it created really bad habits. We talked about with Arch Manning, the idea that you can see him loading through his progression. You can see him tying his feet to his eyes, being ready to strike when the opportunity comes of itself. You don't see that in Nico's game. In Nico's game right now, there is a lot of my feet getting perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, and that is a nightmare. If my feet come perpendicular to the line of scrimmage, I'm automatically ball down, eyes down, pulling it, and running. All right, we are not going through the progression if that's what happens. Now, here's the problem about that system in my mind. All right, a lot of people have their own opinions on it. Here's my only negative blowback. There isn't a quick process. We're not scanning the field over there. We're working half of the field because everything's outside the numbers. So when one's running a dig from the outside numbers and we're waiting for it to be a second window dig, meaning throwing it over the spot, it takes longer. He's 5-7 yards further than he normally is in a system. Normally in a system, he's maybe 2 yards inside the number. Now he's 3 yards outside the number. All right, so we got a longer time to progress, meaning one's taking longer, which means two's taking longer to get to, which means we might not get to 3 and 4. All right, so if we're not having wide receivers that are getting open in 1 and 2, and we don't have an offensive line to protect us, I'm pulling it down too. You see what I'm saying? I'm excusing some of these bad habits, but the bad habits are there, and it showed up in their deep ball accuracy. They had no wide receiver weaponry last year that was healthy at all. When Dante Thornton was available, they were explosive. When he was not, they were not. All right, period, point blank. And he's gone now. So that causes a sense of concern. All right, but they've got to get better. He's got to get better in his lower body mechanics on the deep ball, but they've got to get better at wide receiver doing so. Some of the very similar questions I got about Lenoris, like what around you is there? Right? I was talking to some SEC writers yesterday, some Tennessee guys. I'm like, hey, who's the one over there? And I was expecting to hear Mike Matthews' name. No. We kind of stumbled around the topic and figured we got to find out. That terrifies me going into what we expected to be his final year. Like, I think everyone coming out of high school expected Nico to be a 3-and-done guy. It's not looking like that right now. Number 8, Carson Beck. Now, this one's got a big asterisk on it because I don't know what we get. You know what I mean? I don't know what we get from him from a physical standpoint. So we have to have an asterisk on that. Are we going back to feeling ourselves when we get back out there, right? Is the game going to be too fast? We've been taking 10 months off. Are we going to be able to pick up the speed really, really quickly? On top of that, we're in a new environment. So I'm very curious to see what happens there. I do think, and I said this about him as a Georgia quarterback, and I'll say this about him until he proves me otherwise. He is perhaps the best facilitator in college football right now. If everything is right, if the progression works, if the OC's doing his job, if the wide receiver's open and able to catch the football, that son of a bitch gonna put it on him. All right, he's accurate. He reads well. He processes well. He recalls really, really well. My problem is when things don't work out perfectly. I don't think this is an elevator. I think this is a facilitator. I think this is a guy who gets it to the open guy. And I think this bore out in his only 2 years at Georgia as a starter. Right? We have Ladd McConkey and we have Brock Bowers. Guess what we are? We're a 73% completion percentage guy. We're 28 touchdowns. We're 6 interceptions. We're 4,200 yards. We lead the nation in third down completion percentage or conversion rate, right? We're great. We lose those 2 football players. We don't have a great wide receiver core. We're 64% completion percentage. We have 12 interceptions. Okay? We throw for 3,800 yards. You see what I'm saying? There's a little bit difference between are you an elevator, are you a facilitator? I know you can facilitate when things are great. Here's the problem. I think you're going to have to be an elevator this year at Miami. And we've talked about that here a good bit on this network, and I think you at home can agree with that. Now, number 9, here's where it gets interesting. Darian Mensah. And I know we're running a little long here, guys. Hold with me. Darian Mensah comes in at number 9 for me. This is the Tulane transfer that went to Duke. Now, $4 million over 2 years. $2 million per year. This is the reporting that I got.
That's good money for Duke.
It's good money. It's a good expensive transfer as well. Like you said, it's big time money for Duke. That's a heavy investment for football for Duke for one specific player. Now, here's what kind of you were in the room today while I was doing these notes. Now, I'm taking notes, talking out loud. He has no idea what I'm looking at. But the very first thing I said after about 15, 16 clips was, I think I'm going to have to spend more time watching Duke's offense than I am watching this right here. Because Tulane, if you haven't watched Tulane is the closest thing in college football to what Kyle Shanahan's doing in the NFL. Okay, well, I'm talking about under center, attached, we're in bunch formations. All the passing concepts are play action off deep overs. Even more so than Sark. Sark will get into 3x1 and play with pace and do some screen games, some quick now stuff, some screen bluffing like he did against Georgia for big explosives. This is different. This is very pro style. Now, here's what I loved about the tape. I watched him against Kansas State. This is a one-year starter at Tulane, by the way. Watched him against Kansas State, game 2 of his year. Has a big game. I don't know if they beat K-State, but they play him really, really tight. Okay. And I'm watching him. First clip of the game, he comes out the huddle. They got a jet motion under center out of the eye. Okay. Calls the jet motion, sees what the defense does, flips the run point, gets it into a good look, run a bust for 19 yards. All because he flips it to the right side. So we're controlling run game point IDs in game 2 of our career, right? In a real pro-style, lengthy, long versed offense that's huddling up. So immediately I'm thinking, all right, this guy's really, really smart. I see him in pass protection doing the same exact thing. What I really love about this guy is his intermediate accuracy. This guy throws what we call runner routes really, really well. Those deep overs that we got to throw to grass, put it up with good touch, make sure you can run up underneath it away from defenders. Elite accuracy in that area. My question, if I were to talk to a Duke football coach right now, is why are we spending so much money, A, but B, why do we go get a guy that's a real pro-style dude to come bring him into a system that last year took 80 snaps per game almost and threw it 45 times a game? Yeah. This guy had 2 games all year last year where he threw it more than 30 times. They were down in both games. There's no surprise. Right? This is a very balanced offense that he's running from Tulane, and we're bringing him into more of a conventional college spread.
And I think that might just be a product of their change of scene of just who they had at quarterback last year. Obviously, Malik Murphy is a very mobile guy, did a lot more. I think you look back at what they were beforehand, the Daniel Jones, the Riley Leonard, where it is kind of that pro-style quarterback. It might be, going back to what they were, and this is the perfect guy to do that. I don't know.
I like him a lot. I like him a lot from a third-round standpoint of I think this kid's going to be a pro. He plays the position like a pro. Pocket manages like a pro, understands protections, turns his backs to the defense really, really well and cleanly, gets his eyes snapped back around to where they're supposed to be at the right time. He is a pro. I don't know if he's going to be a high-end pro. They paid him like a high-end pro.
That's what I was going to say is maybe the 4/2 is a sign of they're going to change some offensive things, and it's going to take 2 years to fully establish that.
Yeah, it could be that. Number 10, Brandon Jennings. Now, I'm going to be short with the eval here. Hold your breath playmaker. An absolute hold your breath playmaker. Now, if you're who's my head coach over there? Yeah, if you're Brett Lashley, we've got to clean a lot up, right? We got to be more consistent in our mechanics. We got to be more trustworthy of the reads. We got to actually go through progressions. We don't just need to pull the ball down all the time. However, they just lost their best back. Their back last year was a half running back, half wide receiver, and that number 1 dude that was elite, all right, in all those categories. I don't know if their run game is going to feel that well this year. So I don't know how many explosives they're going to get from ball carriers. So maybe if he has a tendency to pull the ball down, we let him do it. You know what I mean? Well, some of our best runs might come from Brandon Jennings' legs next year. I don't want to be sitting here confining him to a pocket when he might be my most explosive player outside of that pocket. So there's that. Number 11, and it would have been 10, but this number 11 is a complete wild card for me. He could end up in the top 5. He could be a first-round draft pick. He could be the same player we've seen the last 3 years hoping for the potential. It's Drew Aller. Drew Aller is the biggest variance and opinion guy. And even in that article you guys talked about last week, they got him ranked number 2, and every coach is like, bro, that system was winning last year. I don't know what he is. He makes bad decisions. I don't know what he is. Offense 1, I don't know what he is. Number 2 on the board. I don't understand that. I don't know what he is. For me, he's number 11 with tremendous traits. But we're going to get into a traits talk during the local hour. Traits don't win. Traits help you win. This wins. Okay, accuracy, decision-making, and recall. That's what wins at the quarterback position. So please, please, please stop thinking that you can just throw your way to success at the quarterback position. That's not how it works, okay? It's not how it's ever worked, all right? And we've got historical data of it year after year after year after year. Jamarcus Russell didn't work out. Tom Brady, greatest of all time. There's thousands of those examples. The fact that Tom Brady is the GOAT, he is physically inferior to all other quarterbacks who are even in the discussion, right? Except for Peyton Manning, who fits this one, right? All mental, all decision making. We got a whole other hour coming up right now. Stick with us.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You like that? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another hour here on the Film Guy Network. Honestly, it kind of stinks that we can only do 2 hours.
Oh,
You know?
Yeah.
Kind of has an aroma to it.
smelly.
You know?
Stinky, huh?
Especially after being here for an elongated period of time. Maybe some of your name or your usual name brand stuff might have worn off, you know? And you need that stuff that really sticks to you for maybe like a 72-hour period.
Ooh.
Like our friends over at Mando. Do you have a stinky friend? I bet you do. He probably could use some Mando. If you haven't checked out our friends over at Mando, you probably should. From the founders of Lumi, Mando whole body deodorant is helping men conquer their odor in a new way. Mando has long-lasting 72-hour odor control that actually stops odor before it starts. Best part is you can put Mando everywhere. You can put Mando in your pits, your packages, your feet, your skin folds, your back, your knees, everywhere. Everywhere Mando can go.
Skin folds?
Skin folds, baby, in the read. They wanted it. To top it off, Mando's cologne quality scents were created with the boys in mind, with the men in mind. Pro tip, try their best-selling scent, Bourbon Leather. You got to say it like that, Bourbon Leather. Today, it's a game changer. Head over to Mando, use promo code FGN. Shout out to our friends over at Mando. Support those who are supporting us. Can't thank those guys for being with us any more than that right there. What a great read. Nailed it like a split hog. Let's go on to this local hour. Yesterday, big event.
What was the big event? Yeah.
Big event, massive. Elite 11.
Oh,
I'm a big Elite 11 guy. You know, I'm a 2% chooch possessor myself, okay? Like to spin the pill every once in a while. And I've always said the film does not lie except for one position. That film will lie to your ass about the quarterback position. 100%. Unless you see it in person. And I found one of these. And I don't want to bag him. Okay, so I might not even mention him by name. But there, and you'll figure this out. There was an Arkansas commit that we watched on this channel. And I said, hey, 6'5", 220 pounds, comes from a really, really good region in North Carolina, plays great high school football, tape is immaculate. I like this guy, committed to an SEC school. I think I already said it. But anyways, I go watch him at the Elite 11 yesterday. I get it. I get why we're going to Arkansas. No offense to Arkansas. But when I watch the tape, I'm like, dude, this is big-time SEC football. See it in person, this is Arkansas football. So it's important to go see these people live. Let's talk about what we saw yesterday. I've seen Faison Brandon. I've seen the tape. I saw him throw last year at this event. That's a guy. That is a dude. All right. Now, I haven't seen Jared Curtis throw in person, so we're going to find out. But that's kind of the neck and neck right now. Who's won in the country at the quarterback position? Is it Faison Brandon? Is it Jared Curtis? You talk to different people, you'll get different answers. I don't know how much better of a prospect I could build. 6'3.5", I'd say, has bulked up. I'd say he was 190 pounds last year on film, real linear. He's got to be 210 now. The lats, Kirby, have yeah, we almost got wings on us now. We have broadened as a football player, and I like that as well. A little tidbit here. I'm a nerd, okay? And I shared this with you. Is this worth talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I shared this with the guys before the show. There are multiple ways of defining athleticism. If you're listening to this today as a common fan, You probably are like most people, and you think athleticism is how fast you are, how high you jump, all the explosive data metrics, all that good stuff. That's a testing athletic profile. But to me, real athleticism is I can tell you to do something with your body once, and you immediately figure it out, right? And this is a prime example. Quincy Avery, who most people think is one of the best quarterback trainers in the world, was at this event, always is, runs around the Elite 11 and trains all their events. I'm listening to Quincy. Anytime I can get around him or anybody that's teaching the quarterback position, I absorb it like a sponge. So I walk over there, I put the camera down, I'm locked in, listening to everything I can. And he walks up to our man that we just got done talking about that I didn't love in person, loved the tape. And he walks up and he says, hey, notices the kid's dragging his back foot. And he says, hey, instead of dragging our back foot, let's let that motion stop and let's pick our back foot up. Meaning let's slam that motion onto our front side and eventually that back foot will lift up. Well, the kid tries it the first time and you can see him leaning onto his front foot and almost jumping off of his back foot. Not the coaching point. The coaching point was let's let the energy lift our foot up off. Let's stop dragging it and letting it die. Okay, so he's over there hopping on one foot basically, trying to really make his body do what coach taught him. Meanwhile, Faison Brandon is the quarterback to his direct right. Okay, listening to this coaching point that the coach is giving to the kid behind him. And immediately the coach looks over and Faison's doing it. Faison's doing exactly what he's just telling this other guy. And he looks down and he goes, that's it right there. Do what he's doing. And Faison's like, I kind of like this, right? It's just immediately can add it to his game. To me, that is true athleticism. Hey, I walk over to you and I say, hey, we're a little bit open on the front side. We immediately fix the issue and we're clean the rest of the day physically. We can handle those types of things. That's true athleticism to me. On top of all the other stuff, elite ball, great ball placement. I think he's going to be a dude. Now, let's move on to Landon Duckworth. Landon Duckworth, last year at this event, even at the Under Armour event about a month and a half ago, very raw thrower of the football. I think that was even the note that I brought back from the Under Armour event. That's the cleanest I've ever seen him look yesterday at the Elite 11. And I even told him as much. I walked up to him afterwards. I said, look, you weren't bad here last year, but you were much better this year. Much cleaner. And that is an event where you're going to go out and you're going to throw 180 balls today. Like you are going to get worked. Okay, so by the end of it, if you're not mechanically clean at the beginning and all the way through, by the end of it, you're going to be dying. Right, your arm's going to be dead, balls are going to be flailing on you, mechanics are going to fail you. That didn't happen to him yesterday. He was clean throughout, thought he had a great day. Also, think he's going to Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah. Hotty toddy.
Yeah, I think he's going to Ole Miss. So, and we'll get to that. We'll tell you what that means because obviously he was in contention for Georgia, depending on what happened with Curtis, but they found a new number 2 and even a kind of a 3. I think Duckworth's now 4 based off all the intel I've got for you, and I'm going to deliver that to you here in just a second. Now, a name that nobody's going to care about, but I'm going to keep tabs on. This is how this works. Eli Hamrick. Eli Hamrick is a quarterback out of North Carolina. There's a bunch of them. Committed to Virginia right now. This dude's come down here to the Elite 11 the last 2 years, and I've been like, no big time O's, but damn, this kid looks great. Looks great in camp. And what I found out was the tape's a little bit touch and go. Reason being, he got displaced by a hurricane this year. He played 5 games with somebody, played the last 6 games with another because I think his football team stopped playing high school football. So in the middle of the season this year, he's changing teams, learning new systems. I think that's what happened to the tape. We'll see what happens with the senior tape. I guarantee right now, Virginia coaches listening to this, if they are, I'm like, shut the hell up about this kid.
Don't blow up our spot.
Don't blow up the spot. We think we got a guy. I think they got a guy too. Kareem Hewley, 2027 quarterback out of Gainesville High School. This is Aaron Murray.
Ooh. Now, is this the Aaron Murray you know today, or is the Aaron Murray we saw?
This is Aaron Murray coming out of high school.
Oh.
And here's the deal.
That's a good quarterback.
5'11", 4'9", flat, 40 runner, 200 pounds. Physically, no A-plus traits. I didn't see a bad ball one. I didn't even see a wobbler. I'm talking about balls tight all day long. Any platform can get it. Any platform accurate, just comfortable. Tremendous thought processor as well. You can see it coming out of Gainesville. You know he's going to come from a system that's real. Okay, he's not picking, sticking. He's really, really working progressions, flawless. And for a guy who doesn't have A-plus physical traits, every SEC staff that I reached out to going to this event, who do you want to see? I need Kareem Hewley footage. I need it. Like I need to breathe. So yeah, a lot of interest for him right now in that 2027 class. For me, right now, early on, that would be what I'm going for if I'm Georgia. Okay, because depending on what happens in 2026, you're probably going to have pressure to play that guy. I think Kareem is a guy that can play year 2, year 3, year 4. All right, or wait until year 3, play year 3 and 4, and be really, really clean as a quarterback. I think Georgia right now, based off everybody that I talked to yesterday and everybody that I continue to talk about the discussion, I think they're 60% we're going to land Jared Curtis. The other 40% is like the coin toss is if it lands on us, it's Jared Curtis. If it doesn't, the other side of it is Bo Bentley, and we feel good about that. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a 60% chance they land Curtis. If they don't, 100% chance they land Bo Bentley.
So there's no disaster scenario. We don't get either of those guys.
Not from what I have been told. Now, I do think there is an overzealous sense of confidence right now at the University of Georgia on recruiting. I believe that. I think they have this notion that they're going to land everybody, and they might, but I don't know if they will. But they feel right now that they feel if they miss on Curtis, it's not going to be world doom. This isn't Arch Manning. They miss on this, they feel good about where Bo Bentley's at. I think we even got confirmation of that, honestly, yesterday with his official visits.
Yeah, I think you answered this before, but remind me. If they get Curtis, is there any world where they also land Bo Bentley? Or
No.
Is it, okay.
No. If you get Curtis, and this is the thing about this, man. If you get Curtis for the price tag that I think he's going for, and I've been told he's going for, it ain't just we might not sign anybody in 2026. You might not be able to land anybody in 2027. And by the way, year 2, wherever he's at, I think he has to play. He's going to be such a portion of the rev share. He's going to be such a portion of your payroll that you're going to feel compelled to have to play him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want however many millions sitting on your bench.
No. And if you're a school like Oregon, you're still going to be paying Dante Moore into year 2 of Jared Curtis. I guarantee it's not cheap, right? And Georgia has a similar problem as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone will. That's what I'm saying. This is a very, very weighted recruitment. It's not just if we miss, what do we do? If we land, what happens to us? If we land this kid, how do we make everything else accommodate what we got going on? Now, here's my thing. I'm not going to see this guy. I have intel that the folks up in Tennessee that I trust have already seen the Elite 11 roster for the Nashville circuit. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to do Elite 11, which I understand. You're the number 1 quarterback in America anyways. You're fetching north of $3 million or close to it. Who gives a shit about the Elite 11? I understand why your agent would tell you that. Only bad things can happen for you. I get it. I sure as hell would like to watch you throw, though, because I don't think – are we driving up to Nashville this year to watch him win by 60 against Timmy and Tyler?
Not unless it just happens to fit into the schedule, I guess.
And he's already going to be committed by
You
then.
are going up to Knoxville.
We will be up in Knoxville.
Week 3. So.
And we got to hope, I guess, that he's playing that
That's what I'm
week.
saying is like only if it fits into the schedule for us.
So I don't know, man. That's literally where I stand. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we'll see. Which brings us to Bo Bentley, the quote unquote backup plan. I feel good, like I said, I feel good about where things stand with him if they fall through with Curtis. And I don't want to say I think they'd be better off, but I can make the theory as to why. Right? My sources have indicated to me he's like 70% the price range that Curtis is right now. So we save money. We get to take that money, we get to put it elsewhere. That's good news right there, right? I also think personally, he has a higher floor. He doesn't have near the ceiling. No one does. That's why everyone's doing this with Curtis. He doesn't have near the ceiling that Jared Curtis has, but his floor for me, he has less transitional questions, right? We don't have to worry as much about level of competition. We don't have to worry as much about is he actually coming from a real system. I trust the system that he's in right now. I've seen it. I also don't really have to worry about his competitive nature because people are going to look at his stats and say, well, this is the only guy that's played 1 year of high school football. Do you know why Bo Bentley's played 1 year of high school football?
Because he plays like 5 other sports.
No, he waited around. He didn't care.
Oh.
I'm going to sit for 2. That's fine. I'll sit for 2. I'll ball out my junior and senior. I'll be a Power 5 guy anyways. So nowadays, I'm not going to start for 2 years? To hell with you. I'll go down the road and beat your ass. So it's just an interesting discussion.
Is it fair to say this deep into the recruitment and this deep into what they're doing, the Jared Curtis sweepstakes is the biggest recruiting risk Georgia's taken under Kirby Smart?
Big time, in my opinion. I don't think they've financially leveraged themselves like this yet. Now, they've done some things like hey, it's late in the class. We really want to see what we can do with KJ Bolden here. We have some extra assets laying around in December. Let's go make some shit shake. That's a totally different scenario than we're going to front load this class in May by boxing out this amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, Arcadia in chat makes a good point. Says UGA won 2 natties with a walk-on because the rest of the team was elite. I think that kind of plays in this conversation of this is a huge risk. You're putting a lot of assets into this. And someone even mentioned how Tennessee might be in this position because of what they paid to get Nico, of the rest of the talent might drop off. But that also might play in the discussion of maybe that's why you need Jared Curtis.
And that's a great point. I mean, yeah, you won a national title with a walk-on at the quarterback position, but you had 17 first-round draft picks on those 2 rosters.
Yeah.
Or however many it was.
Yeah.
It's a shitload, right? And we all have been talking about all offseason. Nobody's like that. Nobody has that type of depth and that type of talent across the board where they can just plug and play a quarterback and everything around them is so great that they're going to win. Now, so maybe this is the new model. Maybe now you have to get one of these transcendent talents at the quarterback position because you're not as good everywhere else.
And I mean, to Nick Saban's credit, we saw them do this beforehand. Like, the Tua Tagovailoa recruitment was big. Mac Jones was a big recruit coming out. I mean, Bryce Young was the #1 quarterback. Like, they got ahead of that curve where it was, hey, you know, they're winning national championships with Blake Sims and A.J. McCarron. You don't need a great quarterback to do that. Then they started really recruiting those guys.
And that was a totally different era because we didn't have to pay them.
Correct.
Now you recruit these guys and they become massive percentages of your salary cap. And that, you know, hinders you from doing things elsewhere.
And I also do think it's irresponsible to do the Georgia one with a walk-on thing. Yeah, Stetson Bennett was a walk-on. I think we've all established at this point Stetson Bennett is not your ordinary walk-on. And he is a 1 in a million story.
You know how talented you have to be a 4th-round draft pick, get in trouble like he did, and the Rams keep you on the roster?
Yeah.
You know what you have to do in practice, talent-wise, to show them your ceiling as a football player, for them to be like, yeah, we'll send him to rehab.
Knowing that you're the QB3 on the depth chart.
Yeah.
You're not even close to starting.
And they just gave Garoppolo $7 million or whatever it was. Like, that's what type of physical talent Stetson is, because that ain't we think, you know what I mean? That's all projection. We're going to keep him around and deal with whatever we need to deal with right now because we think he might be great later.
Yeah.
That's a unique talent. And again, you're right. It's not fair to do that. He was a walk-on. He didn't play like a walk-on.
No.
All right, got some more recruiting intel for you here. I found this one out yesterday at the Elite 11. I actually spoke to a source relatively close to the Tyler Atkinson recruitment. He took an unofficial out to Oregon. This has obviously been well documented and well reported. I got intel on what Oregon actually did during that visit.
I saw a glimpse of some of this.
So you saw, I'm sure, the photo on Twitter where it's his logo on the big board.
The acting up thing.
Yeah, so they're the Nike school, right? So if you had a 5-star linebacker that had his own logo and had his own merch and may or may not be an Adidas athlete already, which he is, he's signed to Adidas out of high school, you would probably show him what his stuff would look like in Nike stuff.
Yeah.
I was told they had all of the latest Nike gear draped in Acting Up logos, that they had models in his Acting Up Nike stuff.
So here's my question, though, of signed with Adidas. So I'm sure Adidas has done this, has provided their merchandise with his logo.
Yeah, but you notice ain't no Adidas schools recruiting this kid. Louisville ain't in the mix.
But I'm just saying, like, there's another company currently using this.
Yeah.
With an athlete that they've signed.
Yeah.
And then your biggest competitor is also putting that logo on their shirts. I know it's not up for sale or anything like that, but still, that seems a little fishy.
To be fair, I don't think Adidas gave him any Adidas Acting Up stuff. They signed him to wear Adidas apparel. Not,
gotcha.
You know, he's wearing basic Adidas stuff, not Adidas with the Acting Up. So you go out there, and it's an extensive process to get out there, right? You take a couple flights. You probably have to fly into Portland. I think there are some direct flights from Atlanta to Eugene. I don't know for a fact, but not the easiest move, right? And you're going clear across the country into a very foreign land, if you will. And then you get in there, and it feels like home because it feels like yours. I mean, everything's got your damn logo on it. They're doing a bang-up job out there at Oregon. There's no doubt about this with the recruitment of Tyler Atkinson. I told you guys before the show, though, to me, it would be the biggest recruiting win to pull this guy away from Glenn Schumann. Okay, because what a lot of people don't understand about Tyler is because they don't know him, is that this is a football savant. This is a guy who truly loves football and not just working hard at football. I'm talking about loves talking ball. All right, so when guys recruit this kid, they might show him the gear and they might show him what they can do with the brand, but really how you win him over is getting him on the board and explaining to him what you're going to do with him, right? Talking ball with him. And there's not a person on this planet that talks ball at a higher level than Glenn Schumann. And that was to a man. Our direct quote yesterday was that exactly right there. It's going to be really, really hard for them to pull him away from Glenn and Kirby. I think there is a very special relationship there. If somebody else gets him, they did a badass job of recruiting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not even just that he's one of the top linebacker prospects in the country. It's also that it's a Georgia native prospect that plays linebacker and is right down the road from the University of Georgia. So if Oregon did steal that one, they did everything and more.
Massive win if you do that.
All right, there was a hot take delivered this past weekend. Now I've got personal relations with not he don't know me, but I've got a very unique story about Chris Sims, who said some dumb shit this weekend. But Chris Sims, I want to say this up front. Tremendous human. You guys know my Chris Sims story. I showed up. They used to have a Lefko and Sims podcast, or Sims and Lefko podcast on Bleacher Report. Adam Lefko, who's now replacing Ernie Sims. That's the guy that sits in the middle of Shaq, Candace,
Ernie Johnson.
Dwayne. I know, but I'm talking about Lefko. He does a separate show with Dwayne Wade, Candace Parker, and Shaq on top of the one that NBA TNT does.
Okay.
It's as we're growing this, so when Ernie and these guys leave, this is the replacement. Used to he worked for Bleacher Report with Chris Sims. They had a podcast together that always uploaded at the same time that I was driving into my construction job. So it was boom, I'm going to listen to this every day. Big fan of what he had going on. Still a big fan. I went to a in-person podcast. This was before I was this. All right, I was just a guy doing NFL draft stuff that nobody knew about. But I meet Sims. I show up like an hour and a half early because I always do. And I'm like watching how they're setting up, all the gear, how they're setting up all the equipment, because I was my own producer at the time. I had to figure out the equipment. So I'm sitting there and Sims goes to get coffee. I'm like, I'm gonna stage a little bump in with Chris Sims right here. And I introduced myself. I'm Brooks Austin. I cover NFL draft for Fansided at the time. I'm like telling him who I am. We have like a 10-minute conversation talking about the industry, talking about his, career, talking about his time with Gruden. And at the end of the conversation, he turns around and he goes, "Thanks, Brooks, so much. I enjoyed the conversation. I got to get to work." And I thought it was so impressive that Chris Sims knew my name.
After 10 minutes.
After 10 minutes. Because I'm freaking awful at it. Like, I am going to forget your name. So I even, when I was at the NFL draft a couple years ago, I even recalled the story with him.
That's your reminder to text your very special, important person.
All right. Give me another reminder in 5 minutes so I'm done with the story.
Okay.
But anyways, great dude. But if he has 10 takes, if he takes 10 hacks at a take, 7 of those, I'm like, damn. Certified ball knower. I respect the hell out of this opinion. The other 3, I think he might be on bath salts. This was one of those opinions. This was bath salt Sims talking about the tight end position. So go ahead and read the quote, because this is on some crazy shit.
Sims said, "Tyler Warren has better physicality than Brock Bowers. He's not as good of a route runner as Brock Bowers, but he's better than Brock Bowers with the ball in his hand. Brock Bowers, I think, is going to have more catches than him in a lot of years because of what he does in that role. Tyler Warren, I think, will have more big plays at the tight end position, more yards per catch, but I don't think it's going to be like Brock Bowers' 105 receptions. He's going to be more of a guy that's like, hey, he caught 70 and had it over 1,000.
Here's what my note says. Tyler Warren is Gronk. Brock Bowers is Travis Kelce if he ran 4.5 in pads. Or better said, Brock Bowers is Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
We don't need to do he's as good or better, because you're not. It's not the truth. Now,
Brock Bowers has better hands than Travis Kelce too.
Yeah. What I would say about Tyler Warren, and the same thing I would say about Gronk, a bitch to tackle. Impossible to get down on the ground. Mm-hmm. Really, really good mover. Great. I think he's more of an athlete than Gronk even is. Like Gronk was very stiff, very robotic, but had great hands and could really a big body target that could run vertically and create a big post or create a big body. But in terms of run after the catch stuff,
Well, that's why I wanted to do my own digging on this, because Tyler Warren had played 5 years in college. Brock Bowers obviously only played 3 at the University of Georgia. And this past year was really only Tyler's big season that he had at Penn State. Yeah. And he finished with 15 20-plus yard receptions. Bowers, over his career, he recorded 15 in 2021, 17 in 2022, and 13 in 2023 with just having played like half a season.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
I think Chris Sims, if you're listening, Chris, I think Chris could benefit from a metric scoring system like we have. All right, on National Signing Day, we put him through the scoring system, the big board metric system, as a historical reference point. So when I watch something, because Barney Stinson has a lot of good rules on How I Met Your Mother, but his best rule is rule number 1. I have no other rules. New is always better. And I think scouts can do this too. They watch the new guy and they think, oh my God, this guy's so freaking good. He's the best since, or he's better than, and then they go back to the historical draft point. But if you don't have that, this is what I thought of this guy in a vacuum versus this is what I had a thought of this guy in the vacuum, the new's always going to feel better.
Well, I think that one of the cool things about when we do nostalgia tape on here, and most of it is just for some fun, to go back and look at some former Georgia prospects. But I think when we go and watch Todd Gurley coming out of high school, or we go and watch Nick Chubb coming out of high school, or any of these former great, like even watching Aaron Murray coming out of high school a couple of weeks ago, I think it really puts into perspective of, we're going to go down this list of Georgia greats. All right, here's some of the guys that we're now comparing them to. Well, maybe that doesn't exactly match up with like, oh, this guy might be the next Nick Chubb. Have you seen Nick Chubb's high school tape coming into college?
Well, I think it's also you as a fan and you as an analyst and you as someone who watches the sport wants to tie whatever back to a familiar face to say, oh, they're this, but it's even better. Imagine how great, think of how great and all the great things that this player did. Now take player X and say they did it better, or take them and say, oh, they did it just as good or a little bit worse, to make a good comparison. I think it's one of the natural things we do as humans, but doesn't mean it's always right.
How do we feel about this? Following up on this phone call, Coach was looking at flights this week.
Yeah, that'll work.
Let it rip.
Let's let that rip. We got Coach slow playing us a little bit. I never been gaslit like that in my life. That was crazy. That was crazy. Hey, shout out to my boy Hobo. My boy Hobo got a birthday today.
Oh, that's a Discord OG right there.
Hell yeah. That's why I get a shout out. Hey, no free shout outs. That's going to cost him $10 tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No inflation over at Patreon?
Nah.
Oh.
I don't think so.
Sticking steady. I appreciate that.
I hope so. I saw something the other day that made me a little worried. Yeah, people popping in there $14.50 for a subscription. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I've never, unless they paid for both, I don't know what the hell happened there. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow I don't get a bunch of emails. You charged me $4 extra. What the hell? I'll Venmo you.
Scrimmage intel's a little more expensive, all right?
Damn right. This guy gets it. We got scrimmage intel coming right. Not now. We got quarterback rankings coming from Kirby. Christian, you got some rankings?
I do.
I heard you delivered some rankings. What were they?
So this is a time of year where, there's not a lot of news going on other than practice intel or other off-field stuff that we've beaten the horse to death with.
Hey, I got an idea. You guys want to race around the loop in Athens? I think it'd be fun.
Get a stopwatch?
Yeah. But here's the deal. One of our co-hosts has to ride with us so you're not capping.
Well, knowing the vehicles we drive, honestly, I don't even think we'd get in trouble for
Dude, Danger Ranger first seed. Danger Ranger first seed.
I'm dead last.
The Tundra gonna be like this.
The Jeep goes 0 to 40 in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, my 0 to 60 is yes. It will do that.
Yes,
it still goes that fast.
It might.
Probably, hopefully. But no, I decide, because thinking about this, and quarterback talk has been a big discussion amongst Georgia right now, because it seems like Gunnar Stockton has the inside track to be a starter. So I was just wondering, what can Gunnar Stockton, or how great can he be as a Kirby Smart starting quarterback? Led me to thinking, let's rank the starting quarterbacks from the University of Georgia. Now, there are some interesting ones in there. I left out quarterbacks that did not start at least 3 games. This means no Grayson Lambert.
No Dwan Mathis.
No Dwan Mathis. I know that's a fan favorite. No Jamie Newman, even though he was going to be one of the greats. But so I decided to rank the 5 starting quarterbacks from the University of Georgia under Kirby Smart. Number 5, and I think this one's fairly put, I have Jacob Eason.
Okay.
Only had 1 season, started 14 games for you. 9-5 record, had 2,400 passing yards, pretty much the quintessential what you'd expect from a coach in his first year of the head coach and a guy making his first few starts. There was a lot of potential there. We saw a lot of great things. Obviously, that pass in the Tennessee game would have been legendary had it not gone the way we thought 30 seconds later.
Damn.
But I digress. 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Solid freshman year. We know how that career ended, unfortunately.
That Missouri game.
Oh,
Thought you had one.
Dude.
I thought you had a
Dude,
guy.
we had like 50 passing attempts. I was like, my God, this guy's
It's like,
incredible.
we got a dude. It's like game 4 of freshman year, too.
I was like, yeah, that was like game 3.
Yeah.
So that was right before they got their asses beat by Ole Miss.
during that game on the final drive, my uncle was standing on a table and just going, "This is where legends are made, Eason," and just repeated that the entire drive.
Isaiah McKenzie, dot.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah. Moving on to number 4, I have JT Daniels. Now, first reaction to this is really JT Daniels. He only started 7 games at Georgia. He played in 10, has a 7-0 record as a starter, 69.5% completion percentage. Nice. But the JT Daniels experience was obviously created by all of the hype in the world with Mississippi State and was just a fine quarterback after that. Obviously, the Stetson Bennett saga ended his career quickly with Georgia. 1,900 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I put him above Jacob Eason simply because of the record, the efficiency, the games that he played in. He played in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, had a really, really big game against Mississippi State, had a fairly efficient game against Clemson. I know he didn't throw for a touchdown, but I think he had like 70% completion percentage. But other than that, not so great. Number 3 is where I think it gets controversial. I went Carson Beck. Now, Carson Beck only started for two full seasons at Georgia. Had 7,900 passing yards, 58 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. So you see where the numbers really jump up here. Obviously, if the 2024 season ends like anyone expected it to coming into the season, he's probably higher on this list. But a 24-3 record as a starter is nothing to balk at. I have Jake Fromm as number 2. Now, Jake Fromm, I don't think was an elite arm talent. I don't think Jake Fromm ever elevated Georgia's roster. But damn it if he was not the model of consistency. Basically hovered around 25 passing touchdowns a year. Never threw more than 8 interceptions. Was always in that 64% completion range.
2,900 yards, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
That's that.
Jake Fromm.
That is Jake Fromm. And honestly, that's
68% completion.
Yeah, that's not horrible, especially when you have a pair of 1,000-yard rushers for 2 of the 3 years he's on your roster. Fine quarterback. By the way, 3 straight SEC title appearances.
By the way, who is his best wide receiver?
In 2017,
He had
Javon Wims, McCole Hardman in 2018. 2019 was Lawrence Cager when he was healthy. Like it wasn't ever like an elite wide receiver. Yeah. George Pickens was on there too, but either way,
that was still George figuring out George.
Yeah, that was still George. Being
Who's
freshman.
number 1?
Number 1, it's obvious. That's Bennett. I mean, you don't have to really explain why. 2 national titles, 33-3 record as a starter. Like, he is Georgia's greatest quarterback of all time.
So I did it a little differently. I went top quarterbacks since the 2000s, and I ranked them. I got 6.
All right, let's hear it.
Number 1, Matthew Stafford.
Oh, so you went purely based on talent.
Both. College success and talent, you'll hear. Number 2, Stetson. Number 3, Murray. Number 4, David Green. Number 5, Carson Beck. Number 6, Jake Fromm.
No Shockley, huh?
Mm-mm.
I'm with it.
Shock would be 7.
I mean, both of you guys discredited Grayson Lambert. Grayson Lambert started the 2016 season.
He did. He started the 2016 season.
Grayson Lambert, to me, is the sign of like one of the first, like, what in the hell is the industry doing? That dude played at Camden County in the triple. Yeah, buddy. Played Camden County in the triple and was a 5-star.
I think that was
How?
I think that was like my first sign of the Mark Richt era was coming, because when I was like, we got a quarterback from Virginia, that's who was in here coming to start for this football team.
And then he threw for a 93% completion percentage against South Carolina. I was like,
He's all right.
We're going to beat Bama. 38-10.
I got spring scrimmage intel. Scrimmage number 1 this past weekend. So they say. I think they scrimmaged on Saturday the previous week. But I ain't got to tell nobody. We ain't got that many people listening.
We got pushing 300. This is more than we had last week.
I do think I say that to say this. I do think
shot against us.
I do think the oh my God, scrimmage number 1 stuff gets a little overblown. Because
Yeah.
it's spring ball.
Well, it's also
Like there's an hour of 11 on 11 every day.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They're
I
getting
mean,
after it.
it's
every
also
day.
it's just that first little. Oh, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is it.
So, anyways, I got some notes for you. You can get all of these. I think we posted 3 different
Yes, we did.
practice nugs over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. So if you want these in depth, you can get far more detailed information over on Patreon. So go ahead and subscribe over there if you want to, which you should. If you're a person who claims to really love Georgia football, not just one of these guys I see out in public wearing the logo all the time. You know what I mean? You know those fans. They like them on Saturday and they wear their logo around the town, but they're not out here really diving into the nitty gritty of being a dog fan. So if you're one of those, it's an elite place to be over patreon.com/Brooks Austin. It's about as good as I can sell it. Number 1, sounds to me like on Saturday, I ain't going to say they put belt to ass, but I'm going to say the defense got the better of the offense pretty consistently throughout the day. Now, don't go panicking because here's why.
This happens every year
Every spring. And do you know why?
because it's easier to play defense because you're reacting.
See ball, get ball. Like no matter what boils down, I may miss an assignment and make a tackle. I may miss an assignment and have an interception. That don't happen offensively. If I miss an assignment at left tackle, the quarterback just got blown up. If I miss an assignment and run to the wrong key as a running back, -2. See what I'm saying? Defensively, it's see ball, get ball. So every spring session I've ever been a part of, no matter if we're an offense that's going to score 50 a game this year or if we're an offense that's going to be mediocre, the defense whipped our ass the first 2 weeks because we're base install. We don't have a lot going on, and we got people that don't really know what they're doing. So offensively, I'm not that worried about it. I was told Gunner played not really well, but well. Okay, Puglisi continues to turn it over. All right, there's no doubt about it. There's some turnover concerns there. Some still not quite seeing it. Still not playing free when we come and bring him down with the actual offense, not playing scout team. Bax made some big plays. I think everybody's on the Bo Walker stuff. Look, I think Bo Walker is going to be really, really good. But y'all need to pump the brakes, okay? I've seen some people out here talking about, ooh, is he already better than Nate Frazier? I heard somebody in our Discord bring up the name Todd Gurley as if that ain't sacrilegious. Don't do that shit. Don't do that to this kid.
We're getting
okay?
Todd Gurley comps.
We're getting
now?
crazy. All right, here's what I've actually heard. Like, imagine if Dejon had a little more juice. That's what I'm hearing.
Some spicy
And that's
Dijon mustard.
Some spicy Dijon. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so, and look, I've always said this on this network. I think there are 3 different avenues of information that insiders give out, right? There are people who are actually talking to people inside the building. All right, I'm talking about coaches, recruiting staffers, scouting departments, head coach. All right, there are a very select few of the people that are out here doing that. And I'm not going to tell you who they are, but there are very select few people who are actually talking to people inside the building. Then there's a group of people that are just talking to boosters, very rich people that get to pay to go see practice. All right, and then there's I'm doing what I'm not supposed to be doing, which is I'm talking to players and I'm talking to parents of players. Don't be that guy, first of all. Don't be the guy in the middle only either. If you're the guy in the middle only talking to scout or boosters, you're only going to get, oh my God, he's the greatest thing ever. All right, because they don't, no offense, but people who pay to go watch practice aren't people who are paid to make decisions about practice. We all see that?
Yes.
All right, so the people who are paid to go see practice, all they want to tell you is big, fast, strong, great. Makes one play, greatest player I've ever seen. He's awesome. So you get very elevated information from just the boosters. You have to get the full glamour of all of it. So the boosters right now will tell you Bo Walker's going to be insane. Talk to people inside the building. He's spicy Dejon. There's a massive gap between those 2 pieces of information. Okay, I tend to be on that coach's side of that information when it comes to the stuff that we report. I'm told both the Branch brothers made plays. Okay, Zachariah had a big touchdown, big explosive, and Zion had an interception. Okay, however, I had a conversation with people after the scrimmage Saturday afternoon that told me if they had to play at the end of spring, Ja'Cory Thomas would still be the starting safety.
Makes sense. I mean,
there's too much from all of them, from Jaden Harris, from Adrian Maddox, from Zion Branch. There's too much of this. There's too much of, wow, he makes a great play. He doesn't know what he's doing. Wow, he makes a really good play, good instinctual play. Doesn't know what he's doing. There's a lot of this. If one of those does this, they'll be fine. The guy I would put my money on right now to be the starting safety come August would probably be Zion Branch.
yeah, and I mean,
But we got to get through a whole offseason of staying healthy, which, by the way, has yet to do in his college career.
yeah, and not only that, let's think about this. Kirby Smart has reiterated numerous times, whether it be offensive, defensive, special teams, they value experience. They value knowing the system. It's why KJ Bolden didn't start game one. It's why Malachi Starks didn't start game one. Two guys that you would say have been the cornerstones of your secondary the last few years didn't start game one because they did not have the experience coming into it. So, yeah, I mean, Zion might be making the best plays and might have the higher ceiling, but they are probably going to go with the more experienced guy early in the season.
And in today's world of college football, if you stick around my place for 3 years, going on 4, I'm gonna have to have the new guy just take it from you, like absolutely rip it from your hands. But you're gonna have it in your hands as long as you want it. And I feel that way. I would be the same way.
Has Jonell kind of locked down his role, like solidified it even more? Because I know that he started at Star last year, but
improved.
Okay,
is what I'm told. So the concerns about Jonell are on 3rd and obvious, right? 3rd and obvious passing downs. Are you going to be able to run vertically with the slot? Can you turn and run? Are you too twitched up to do that? I've heard there's been improvement. I've heard that if it became a problem, they've got so many good corners that they feel like if they had to have someone go into the nickel and play cover, they would do that.
Who's the last corner to do that?
The last corner I remember to bump into the nickel was Kamari Lassiter.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
But that was a
situation.
Yeah, Luther Burden.
Luther Burden's cooking us in the slot right now. We need to do that.
And we're not worried about them inserting Luther to block in the run game. So whoever's responsible for him in the nickel is not going to have to go add a hat.
Right.
And even if he did, Kamari would be fine. I think they would roll Dalen in there and then bring Ellis Robinson onto the field at true corner. Or vice versa. Leave Dalen outside. And if they have a really good slot receiver that's only going to be running routes on 3rd and long, they'll put Ellis in there.
So it's a personnel thing. It's not, we'll just throw a Malachi Starks figure
and just like a style of play. Like Auburn, the last 3 years, head coach, offensive coordinator, be damned. Their only answer, Georgia Tech to an extent too, we're going to test the nickel on vertically. We're just going to run vertically and hope we get one of these. Because if we do, it's a 45-yard explosive.
Yep.
Georgia Tech had a couple of them a couple of years ago.
Yeah, in 2022.
On Tyke. And then Auburn tried to do the same thing on him.
Yep.
So you'll see teams try to do that to them because who the hell else are you going to attack?
Right.
You know, that vertical out of the slot, whole hell of a lot easier to complete than the vertical outside the numbers. We don't have so much room to fade you in that slot. I got that whole outside the hash to really work you open away from your inside leveraged coverage. So great question there. Jonell, I think, has shown improvements from what I've heard. Xavier McLeod getting a lot of love this spring.
Love that.
And needed to, right? Jordan Hall, I would say about 85, 90% still. Kristen Miller not available this spring. So they needed somebody to really eat a bunch of reps and be a guy, and it sounds like he's doing that. CJ Allen becoming more of a leader. Now, there were some older guys on that football team last year. I think there was some hesitancy to be the this is my team guy. We gotta respect some of these old heads. But now rooms have cleared.
I'm the old head.
I'm the old head. And I loved this quote from a source. If CJ Allen is our alpha, then we're okay because he's damn sure our hardest worker. There's nobody in the building that does everything right more than CJ Allen.
Need that.
So if he's the dude that everybody's looking to, then they're going to look at him all the time. You know what I mean? It's not going to be, I'm only looking at CJ when he's talking. I'm gonna pay attention to what CJ's doing all the time, and I'm going to follow his lead. Jaw Jackson, I was told, got what we call an extended look at left tackle.
I mean, he's a pretty extended guy. So
there is obviously a very rabid fan base here in the Georgia fan base circles. And if you take a photo with a recruit, people are going to be paying attention to what's behind you. Stacey Searles posted a video or photo. Somebody posted a photo of them standing next to Stacey in his office. And behind the left shoulder of Stacey Searles, depth chart. And number 3 left tackle, Jaw Jackson. And so everybody's like, oh, that's the depth chart. Well, they flip-flop this depth chart, especially during the spring, quite a bit, because there is a theory in football that no matter what you look like, it's only 75, 80% of the grade. What you look like in live reps might be a little bit different, right? If I throw you into the water and you start swimming, then you just might be a shark. If I throw you out there and you get ate up, then you might not need to be out there, that type of deal. So I think that was one of those things this weekend with him at left tackle. What are you giggling about?
How much of a chewing do you think Stacey got from Kirby after that?
You know, honestly, because I look out for him.
Right.
They don't look out for me. They don't give a shit about me. But I look out for them because I know they care about this stuff. So when that got posted, I immediately sent it to somebody. Said, hey, just to let you know, this got brought to my attention. Don't know what y'all want to do with it. The immediate response was, whoever found that needs to get a hobby. And my response was, you don't understand. This is their hobby.
Yes.
The people watching this right now, this is your hobby. You ain't out here like, you might be a scratch golfer, but you probably ain't because you love the dogs too much. You know what I mean? Like, you just spending too much time doing this type of stuff. So the people care, and people are going to find it. So yeah, I don't know if he got an ass chewing, but I think my man, the wide receiver from Florida that posted his injury, I think that kid got a bigger ass chewing than Stacy.
Oh, definitely. Tyler Williams?
Tyler Williams. For posting his injury and then he got surgery, I think that kid got a, hey, come see me, a lot quicker than Stacy got for, hey, they found the depth chart. And it was only the left side of the depth chart, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. No, it was full thing.
Full thing?
It was full thing.
All right, we probably don't need that.
But again, spring football.
But it's why they claim they hide everything. Because they don't want parents calling them. Michael Unai replaced Daniel Calhoun at that first right guard spot, I was told.
Interesting.
Again, didn't hear about performance, just heard about the rotation. They love their weapons at wide receiver. They can't talk about them enough. But having great wide receivers is all fine and good. But I was told offensive line struggled a good bit.
Yeah, it's not the receiver's talent that you need at this point. It's the results.
Mm-mm. Now, the freshman whose name I'm hearing far more than I ever thought I would. This is like a 27, 28 guy, right? Like 27th guy in the class they took late. It's Anthony Crua. Now, I've obviously heard a lot about Juan Gaston. I've obviously heard a lot about Elijah Griffin. I've obviously heard some about Isaiah Gibson. All right, these freshmen, the wide receivers, C.J. Wiley and Taylor Taylor have a great springs. But I did not expect to hear from multiple different sources, Anthony Crua, quote, way better than we thought he was going to be. Way more of an athlete than we thought he was going to be. He's able to turn and run, can cover. Thought he was going to be a little stiffer of an athlete. Big, rocked up dude. I mean, looks a picture perfect of a football player at the linebacker position. Almost looks like a 6'1" Rennie Kern. Y'all remember how thick Rennie Kern's arms was?
Oh my God.
This is what this guy looks like. And when you see a muscle-bound football player like that, the first thing I worry about, is he tight? Is he going to be able to do the explosive things that you're supposed to? You're just inappropriate, immature.
I'm off camera, man. I'm
inappropriate.
I'm trying to hold it.
Lock in. But anyways, hearing tremendous things about him. Even not just, hey, this guy can cover, better athlete than we thought. They might be putting together rush packages for this guy as a true freshman. He can get home.
Ooh, that's a good thing to hear considering the depth.
Now, here's what I hate. Don't do the thing where just because I'm talking about Anthony Crua, I'm going to find out that people are like, oh, is something wrong with Zayden Walker? Don't do that. Y'all do this at every position. If I talk about one guy well, you think the other guy is just terrible and he's going to transfer. Don't do that. All right? Zayden Walker's going to be fine. Zayden Walker also playing a relatively new position.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that. Those are the intel notes. Again, far more detailed notes over on patreon.com/Brooks Austin. Head over there and check them out. Now, let's continue with the intel here in our sophomore surge candidates. I'm going to leave what's left for you guys, but I want to talk about the guys that I know are having really good camps. I'm buying Daniel Calhoun and Michael Unai's stock as I possibly can. I'm still buying Nate Frazier stock because I think too many people are focused on other things, not realizing that Nate Frazier is in bubble wrap right now. What do I need to know from Nate Frazier? He's going to hold on the ball? That's it?
Yeah.
Everything else I'm good with. So everything else, let's protect. Chris Cole is obviously a name everybody's signing up for. I'm signing up for first and second down, but I'm really signing up and buying stock for third down. I think they're going to make Chris Cole a specialty pass rusher on third downs. He's going to line up in a wide nine and get after it. So I'm buying that stock. I'm buying both the Johnson stocks as well. Quintavious Johnson's having a great spring this spring at Jack. When Gabe Harris comes back, I think Gabe Harris is going to play defensive end. I think Quintavious is going to play Jack. So there's that. And then you have to mix Joseph Jonia in the mix as well. And Isaiah Gibson in the mix as well. So you're getting a little deeper because Quintavious and Gabe are really, really good. And then Nasir Johnson, I'm still holding on to that one.
Like that?
Just pretty.
It's a good hold.
Just pretty. What do you got?
All right, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a layup, kind of like you did. Justin Williams, a year 2 coming into linebacker. Chris Cole kind of took over that freshman standout because he got plugged in against Texas because he could cover. He made some big plays, and now he's going to even be in a more expanded role, but so is Justin, considering the losses that Georgia had at linebacker. Whether it was the guys entering the NFL draft or guys that enter the portal, you're going to see a lot more of Justin Williams this year, and I think he's going to capitalize off of those opportunities. Kind of another easy one, but one that you have to mention, Ellis Robinson. Despite the fact that Dalen Everett and Daniel Harris both are returning, as we kind of got into a conversation during this spring scrimmage intel, there might be packages where Dalen slides into star and then you have Ellis Robinson out at corner or vice versa. So I think there is going to be opportunities for him to find his way onto the football field this year and get his opportunities and maybe make some play on the football. So something Georgia fans like. These last two, just kind of my own favorites. Sokovia White, I kind of keep mentioning him a little bit during the offseason, but I think that's just kind of a guy that maybe isn't going to get an ample amount of opportunities just because there are a lot of names in that wide receiver room, but maybe a guy that here and there he gets his opportunities and is really going to pop, and it's kind of one that resonates.
If we have such a demand for Zachariah Branch offensively, Sokovia White would be my punt returner.
I don't hate that.
You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
hate that either.
Because you can't afford to lose Zachariah.
Yeah, and if he's an every down slot, he's playing 90 snaps a game, we're good. We don't need to be back there returning punts. Also, by the way, as a head coach, I don't really let you get loose back there anyways. Almost everything's a safety fair catch, especially if we're catching it in our own end. Y'all ever notice that? They don't return punts when they catch it inside their 20.
No.
It's straight fair catch no matter what. I don't care. Watch that Texas film when Malachi Starks is back there. I don't care if nobody's within 25 yards of you. If you're inside the 15, we're fair catching that ball, and we're not returning.
Yeah. So, again, I think he can make some plays this season where they just kind of resonate with you. They build up some of the excitement for him moving forward. And then this is just one that's kind of based off of what could potentially be some opportunities for him. And then maybe if they get a little more creative offensively, I think he'll definitely get some touches. Some Dwight Phillips love. I think that this could, because like how seasons have gone at the running back position, I mean, we've seen multiple times in multiple seasons where that depth chart gets dwindled down very quickly, and then it might be a time where it's like, well, it is a time where we have to give Dwight Phillips 5 touches this game, or even just some other specialty packages situations. That's just kind of a wild card suggestion I had, but one I felt like I should mention.
All right. I went Daniel Calhoun first. I think that he really surprised people last year with how athletic he was and how much of a dog he was in 2024. I think he's going to take a really big step this year. Was hearing good things until the injury. You just said, didn't you?
I said Dwight
I'm an
Phillips.
idiot. My bad.
I was like, what do you mean Dwight Phillips? You just said. Either way, next up, I'm going to Melo Jones. I know you and Ellis Robinson. I think that these two guys are too talented to not at least see the field in some capacity. I'm buying stock in them for a second-year surge. This one I know is not a true sophomore, but it's his second year playing and starting for Georgia. I'm going London Humphreys. I think he's one of these names getting kind of overlooked and glossed over with all the new additions. So I'm buying London Humphreys stocks. And then the last one I'm buying is Jal Jackson. I saw a Twitter post earlier. Stacey Searles was posting. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, the size and the athleticism alone is something I think you have to buy stock in.
That's fair. Georgia got a legacy commit, London Seymour from North Gwinnett High School. If London Seymour plays meaningful snaps at Georgia, I'd be surprised. However, here's what I want to say. For some unknown reason, they were out here flirting around with the Braxton Kyle kid out of North Gwinnett last year. Nose tackle, ended up going to Rutgers. Not a very good football player. Not a Georgia football player. And I would watch him, and I'd say, who is the other kid? The other kid was wearing 54. And then I find out it's Richard Seymour's son. And he moves well, but he's not making the plays that Braxton Kyle is. Braxton Kyle made a lot of high school football plays, don't get me wrong, but did it ugly, like really ugly. And we don't take ugly bodies and ugly movers. Not if they're 6'2". All right, if you're 6'6", 330 pounds, and you move ugly, you're supposed to. All right, Jordan Davis don't move fluidly. He moves stiffly but fast. Anyways, I was watching the Seymour kid. I'm like, I would take that one over that one. Talking about the Braxton Kyle kid. And again, there is no high school tape really. There's no highlight tape. This isn't a guy that had a plethora of mid-major offers and decided to walk on at Georgia. This is a legacy that's walking on at Georgia. So I don't know what he's going to become. I just think they got the better body out of the kids that they were trying to recruit out of North Gwinnett. And his dad happens to be one of the best defensive tackles in the history of the school. So you take the kid. Now, here's what I want to say. I want to close with this. the Mike Bobo defender. I think anyone calls me that, or has labeled me that, or associated me with defending Mike Bobo. Multiple stops to multiple different college programs across Division I football. And I'm already labeled a Georgia guy by all these other coaches. If Bama's not letting me in, that's why. If other SEC schools aren't letting me in, that's why. They think I'm a Georgia guy. They think I'm going to turn around and give everything to Georgia. It's the furthest thing from the truth. However, I understand the label. This is the base, right? We're sitting here, we're going to talk an hour of Georgia football. I understand what the thing is. That being said, if I ever had downtime and there's nothing going on and I got an opportunity to ask an unprovoked question and I know it's going to get answered, I'd slide in, hey, what do you think of Mike Bobo, the play caller? All right. And everyone, to a man, said something along the lines of, I think he's really good. However, it ain't like Kirby's going to allow him to reinvent the wheel. Or it ain't like Kirby's going to allow him to be this exotic coordinator. Kirby Smart wants to be a defensive-led program, just like Nick Saban did. And with that comes playing inside of a box offensively. You're not going to come into my meeting room as an offensive coordinator under Kirby Smart and tell me that you want to reinvent the wheel, have all these crazy exotic motions or all these stacked releases or all these different gimmicks and games to get guys open. You're going to have to play in a box and you're going to have to line up and play football and beat people because that's what he believes travels, right? When we go on these SEC road trips, you hear him talk about, we got to be simplistic in the offensive game plan, right? We can't be out here worried about pre-snap motion trying to get perfect looks because it's loud as shit. We're going to get a pre-snap penalty. We got to be able to line up and play football. Now, one coordinator I thought said it best. What made Monken so great, and I agree with this, Monken found ways to be creative inside of the box that he was placed in. And I don't know if Bobo does a good enough job of that right now. But this idea that you think the coordinator is the reason you're not this fun, creative, bells and whistles offense, it's a fallacy. Okay, so even if you remove this one and hired somebody else, that guy's going to come in and have to play with inside the box. And you and I were talking about this today. This happened at Georgia or at Alabama as well under Nick Saban. Okay, Lane Kiffin is arguably the best coordinator, in my opinion, that he had over there at Alabama. You could say Sark too, okay, but those two guys did a great job of being exotic inside the box at Alabama that they were forced to be within, right? It's why Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin had so many clashes of heads. Lane's wanting to be this creative guy. Nick Saban wants to be this defensive-minded football coach, okay? Lane did it well. Sark did it well. Alabama fans think Bill O'Brien's the biggest, dumbest idiot in the world. All right? Bill O'Brien ain't no dumb idiot. Bill O'Brien didn't look very creative inside the box. Very unique coordinators did. So who are the coordinators, in my opinion, that have gone to these defensive-minded football coaches and done a great job playing exotic inside the box? Steve Sarkisian, top 5 head coach in college football right now. Lane Kiffin, top 10 head coach in college football right now. And Todd Monken, top 6 offensive coordinator in the NFL. Okay, very elite football guys. I don't think Bill O'Brien sucks. Bama fans think he does. All right, Nick Saban didn't think he sucked. All right, Kirby Smart doesn't think that Mike Bobo sucks. But you get what I'm saying. There's a box you have to play in when you come here and coach for these defensive-minded head football coaches. Good?
Good.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I think I'm going to be here all week.
Oh.
All week?
I think so, unless this phone call comes back and I got to hop on a red eye tonight. So
tonight, huh?
I don't know. My wife's going to be pissed. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you tomorrow.